Chapter 2353. In the Battle of Heaven Path Dream Realms, Fang Yuan initiated the battle. In this battle, Fang Yuan used new killer moves like Year-Shocking Dream Wave Soul Sound, Prometha Dragon Snake Dust Fog Soul Bursting Wind, and Heavenly Ghost Concealment. 7 Killings Rainbow, Tongue Sword Dragon Soul, and other killer moves were greatly modified, while concealing obscured Heavenly Secret and Heavenly Web. Thus, in the early stages of the battle, Fang Yuan had the upper hand. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable and Giant Sun Immortal had to work together to resist him. But because Fang Yuan had to protect Meng Qiu Zhen, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, who had Chaotic Will Scattering Dream, gradually gained the initiative. At the same time, Fang Yuan's dominance also made Giant Sun Immortal wary. No matter how Fang Yuan persuaded, Giant Sun Immortal was determined to stop Fang Yuan from obtaining Heaven Path Dream Realms. He did not waver. Fang Yuan mobilized his subordinates to attack various important areas in Central Continent, to make things difficult for Star Constellation Immortal Venerable. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable saw through Fang Yuan's scheme. She did not retreat to Central Continent. To continue hiding his strength and feign a lack of immortal essence, Fang Yuan angered Spectral Soul Demon Venerable and lured him to participate in the battle. Meanwhile, he used Heavenly Ghost Concealment to become half an ally of Spectral Soul Demon Venerable. Fang Yuan's scheme succeeded. Because of Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's interference, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable and Giant Sun Immortal could not exert enough pressure on Fang Yuan. On the contrary, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable was constantly disturbed by Fang Yuan. She could not threaten Meng Qiu Zhen. Even if Star Constellation Immortal Venerable used 2 human path killer moves, she could not change the situation. The battle fell into a stalemate as time passed. The Heaven Path Dream Realms devoured each other. Most of them were absorbed by Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan's gains in this battle far surpassed Giant Sun Immortal and Star Constellation Immortal Venerable. In contrast, of the 2 venerables, one lost his eldest son and ranked 9 Light Gu, the other's Starry Sky calculation formation that he had painstakingly created was almost destroyed. More than 10 Central Continent Gu Immortals were slaughtered. The members of the Celestial Court were in a dangerous situation. This made Star Constellation Immortal Venerable realize, Fang Yuan had won this battle. No matter how pathetic he looked, he was the one who benefited the most. Regardless of whether Fang Yuan still has trump cards, or if he really lacks immortal essence, the most crucial factor in this battle is Spectral Soul Demon Venerable. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable looked at the heavily injured Spectral Soul Demon Venerable. She felt indignance, anger, and helplessness. She had wanted to get rid of Spectral Soul Demon Venerable long ago, but she had not succeeded. There had been a good opportunity last time, but unfortunately Fang Yuan had covered for it. It was all thanks to Fang Yuan that Spectral Soul Demon Venerable was able to survive. In this battle, Fang Yuan made use of Spectral Soul Demon Venerable to gain huge benefits. It also proved that he had great foresight. 80% of Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's injuries were borne in place of Fang Yuan. He only had less than 1,000 arms left now. His huge body had shrunk by 60%, even his roars were hoarse. Maybe this is the time to get rid of Spectral Soul Demon Venerable. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's thoughts moved. Spectral Soul Demon Venerable was a huge obstacle. Even though Star Constellation Immortal Venerable had once controlled Spectral Soul Demon Venerable, she knew better than anyone else that Spectral Soul Demon Venerable, who was filled with providence, could no longer be controlled by her. Sometimes, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable admired Fang Yuan's craftiness. The latter had successfully turned Spectral Soul Demon Venerable into half an ally. Even though Spectral Soul Demon Venerable was not in a clear state of mind, under Fang Yuan's Heavenly Ghost Concealment killer move, he was more resolute and easier to use than ordinary allies. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable could not help but look at Giant Sun Immortal. Even though the 2 of them worked together, Giant Sun Immortal still had his guard up against her. Looking back at this battle, even though Giant Sun Immortal used his full strength, he did not have much effect against Fang Yuan. He even caused Central Continent a huge loss. Comparisons were the worst. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable would rather have an ally in a daze than a clear-headed Giant Sun Immortal. But now, to get rid of Spectral Soul Demon Venerable, she needed to rely on Giant Sun Immortal. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable immediately transmitted, Giant Sun, there is no need to care about this Fang Yuan now. Let's work together and get rid of Spectral Soul Demon Venerable. The results of today's battle are right in front of us. We cannot let this venerable continue to live. Giant Sun Immortal agreed with this. He felt that the reason why he could not deal with Fang Yuan was because the latter was using Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's strength. With these two working together, he felt a headache. Of course, the reason why Fang Yuan could work together with Spectral Soul Demon Venerable was because of Heavenly Ghost Concealment. As long as this move was broken, the alliance between Fang Yuan and Spectral Soul would be severed. But Giant Sun Immortal knew that if he cracked it now, Fang Yuan would be able to modify it the next time. Originally, as a refinement path venerable, Giant Sun Immortal did not think highly of Fang Yuan's modification attainment. But after this battle, after being baptized by killer moves like Shocking Dreamwave Soul Sound and Permetha Dragon Snake Dust Fog Soul Bursting Wind, Giant Sun Immortal completely changed his view. Now, from his perspective, Fang Yuan's wisdom path attainment was above his. In fact, among the venerables of the past, other than Limitless Demon Venerable, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable was the only one below Star Constellation Immortal Venerable. Thus, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable did not want to play the senseless game of deciphering, modifying, deciphering, modifying, deciphering, and modifying with Fang Yuan. Getting rid of Spectral Soul Demon Venerable is indeed a good idea. This way we can get rid of him once and for all. Fang Yuan will have no more allies. Giant Sun Immortal transmitted to Star Constellation. Furthermore, Fang Yuan is lacking immortal essence now, but we are different. It will be much more difficult for him to protect Spectral Soul Demon Venerable. If he tries to protect him, he might fall into danger if he is not careful. By then, we can target him instead. We can even create a chance to kill this heaven-refining demon venerable. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable was not as optimistic as Giant Sun Immortal. She replied, Fang Yuan will not put himself in danger just to protect Spectral Soul. The two venerables came to an agreement. They focused their attacks on Spectral Soul Demon Venerable. As expected, they did it. Fang Yuan immediately showed a difficult expression, but he was actually getting more excited in his heart. When Spectral Soul Demon Venerable fought with the two venerables, with Fang Yuan's help, both sides would suffer heavy losses. But in the end, Spectral Soul Demon Venerable would most likely die. After all, Spectral Soul Demon Venerable was filled with providence. He lost his rationality. He could not even use his immortal killer moves properly. He was at a huge disadvantage. But this way, Giant Sun Immortal and Star Constellation Immortal Venerable would be greatly weakened. This was the best chance to get rid of the two venerables. As long as they did not escape back to their headquarters, after Fang Yuan used his full strength, he would be able to get rid of one of them. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable wanted to kill Spectral Soul Demon Venerable, while Giant Sun Immortal wanted to get rid of Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan was also plotting to get rid of these two. Spectral Soul Demon Venerable was attacked by the two venerables. His injuries worsened, many of his thick black arms were cut off. He only had 200 or 300 of them left. Go. Giant Sun Immortal suddenly shot out a golden meteor. The meteor landed on Spectral Soul Demon Venerable, smashing one of his heads. Out of his 3 heads, only one was left. He was forced into a desperate situation. He was surrounded by danger, but Fang Yuan was still attacking at a steady pace. Spectral Soul Demon Venerable roared. His body suddenly burned with an icy blue fire. But this fire was not hot at all. Instead, it gave off an intense icy cold energy. The temperature of the air fell rapidly. Rank 9 Fire Goo could not sit still anymore. Sensing that its host's life was in danger, it finally showed its might. It was a rank 9 Fire Goo after all. The 3 venerables retreated together. Even Fang Yuan, who had Heavenly Ghost Concealment, was the same. Fang Yuan could deceive Spectral Soul Demon Venerable with his killer move, but he could not deceive rank 9 Fire Goo. After all, the latter was a goo worm, not a soul beast. Spectral Soul Demon Venerable stopped moving. The blue fire on his body spread rapidly, forcing the 3 venerables to retreat. The fire spread to the surroundings of the Heaven Path Dream Realms. The size of the Heaven Path Dream Realms shrunk rapidly. They were about to be destroyed by the fire. Fang Yuan's eyes shined with bright light. He thought, the legends of Renzu recorded that the Dream Realms are countered by fire goo. It seems that it is true. He felt great regret. His Heaven Path attainment level had already risen from Grandmaster to Great Grandmaster in the fight between the venerables. Furthermore, he had not just stepped into Great Grandmaster realm, he had deep accumulations in this level. If Fang Yuan absorbed all of the Heaven Path Dream Realms here, he might even advance to Supreme Grandmaster. Even if he did not, there was still a high chance of him becoming a quasi-Supreme Grandmaster. However, after being burned by fire goo, more than half of the remaining Heaven Path Dream Realms were destroyed. This is an opportunity, Giant Sun. Seeing this, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable took the initiative to activate Chaotic Will Scattering Dream. Giant Sun Immortal did not protect star constellation Immortal Venerable, he charged towards these heaven path dream realms instead. Fang Yuan was caught in a dilemma. In an instant he made up his mind, he gave up on star constellation Immortal Venerable and charged towards Giant Sun Immortal. Giant Sun Immortal was obstructed by Fang Yuan, the two venerables fought intensely. During this process the heaven path dream realms were burned intensely by the fire, almost nothing was left. Be it Fairy Myrtle, Wuxia or Meng Qiuzhen, they were all burned out. When Fang Yuan obstructed Giant Sun, he also approached the heaven path dream realms. Seeing this, he quickly turned around and gave up on Giant Sun Immortal, approaching his dream path clone. Meng Qiuzhen's eyes were shut, he had not woken up yet. Giant Sun Immortal saw that Fang Yuan had turned around and left, he shouted furiously, "Fang Yuan, you are so arrogant. I will make you pay the price." At the next moment hundreds of golden meteors shot out with terrifying power, heaven and earth changed color. At the same time, star constellation Immortal Venerable finally succeeded in activating chaotic will scattering dream for the second time. She aimed directly at Meng Qiuzhen. Boom 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 boom. The golden meteors landed on Fang Yuan and Meng Qiuzhen, thunderous explosions shook heaven and earth. Terrifying air currents surged in all directions. The golden light quickly faded, Fang Yuan and Meng Qiuzhen flew down at an extremely fast speed. Giant Sun Immortal's eyes widened, he saw that Fang Yuan was unharmed. What defensive killer move was this? Oh no! Star constellation Immortal Venerable's expression changed. Fang Yuan was flying towards Central Continent. As for Meng Qiuzhen, he had already woken up, using dream armor goo to protect himself. At the same time, a layer of rippling reverse flow protection seal appeared on his body. After Fang Yuan's modification, reverse flow protection seal could be used to help others, it was no longer limited to himself. With 2 layers of protection, Meng Qiuzhen was completely fine even though he was hit by star constellation Immortal Venerable's killer move. Chapter 2354. Damn you Fang Yuan. At once, star constellation Immortal Venerable's expression turned ugly. Fang Yuan's move was ingenious. He brought Meng Qiuzhen to Central Continent, forcing star constellation Immortal Venerable into a dilemma. If star constellation Immortal Venerable continued to fight with spectral soul demon Venerable, Fang Yuan would take the chance to open his immortal aperture and keep Meng Qiuzhen inside, before wreaking havoc in Central Continent. In Central Continent's battlefield, Celestial Court's side was already in danger, the starry sky calculation formation was broken, 80% of it was destroyed. Divine Emperor City was attacked by Xianxia and Lu Weiyin, they could not even maintain their human path killer moves anymore. In this situation, if Fang Yuan's main body made a move, he would definitely cause an unimaginable massacre in Central Continent and even the Celestial Court. In an instant, star constellation Immortal Venerable, who was the #1 person in Wisdom Path, made a decision. She sighed as she said to Giant Sun Immortal, "Fang Yuan is extremely crafty, he wants to use this method to protect Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's life. We cannot fall for it. I will chase after him, I will not give him any chance to keep the Dream Path clone in his aperture. Giant Sun, I hope that you can kill Spectral Soul Demon Venerable." Giant Sun Immortal knew clearly, star constellation Immortal Venerable knew this was Fang Yuan's scheme, but she still fell for it. Star constellation Immortal Venerable wanted to make things difficult for Fang Yuan, but she wanted to protect Central Continent. But Giant Sun Immortal did not mind. If it were him, he would also protect the Huangjin bloodline of Northern Plains and fall for it. Thus, Giant Sun Immortal nodded and said firmly, "In today's battle between Spectral Soul Demon Venerable and Fang Yuan, one of them will die." Giant Sun Immortal's cooperation made star constellation Immortal Venerable let out a sigh of relief. At the crucial moment, Giant Sun Immortal still had a clear mind and made a wise decision. Star constellation Immortal Venerable immediately accelerated and chased after Fang Yuan. Within the starry sky calculation formation's formation space, the Demon Judgment Board retreated. On the Devil Judgment Board, Gue Fangjing and Red Heart Traveler were both sweating profusely. Their faces were pale, and they revealed a hint of panic as they concentrated. At this moment, the former and current Demon Judgment Board lords had joined hands. But they were all at a disadvantage. What was forcing the Demon Judgment Board to retreat again and again? "Be careful, he's approaching again." Scarlet Heart Traveler, who was mainly responsible for controlling the Demon Judgment Board, suddenly warned. Jean Budu's cloak fluttered behind him as he flew. When he activated the incomplete freedom transformation, he was a genuine beast in human form. Even the Demon Judgment Board found it hard to withstand one of his attacks. When Guiyue Fangjing received Red Heart Traveler's reminder, he immediately quivered and anxiously shouted, "Then again!" In the next moment, the Demon Judgment Board exploded with a bloody light. The bloody light was like a tide, instantly spreading thousands of steps. The scarlet blood light was mixed with endless coldness. If Jean Budu wanted to get close to the Demon Judgment Board, he would have to charge into the bloody light. Unavoidably, his movements slowed down abruptly. This move again. Jean Budu could not help but have a strange expression. He had already been obstructed by this blood path killer move 3 times in a row. Demon Judgment Board took advantage of the fact that Jean Budu's speed was falling to pull open a safe distance again. And the one who did this was Guiyue Fangjing. Red Heart Traveler looked at Guiyue Fangjing with a gratified expression, showing clear admiration. The killer move Guiyue Fangjing used was Blood Gradually Colding, but he was so closely connected to the Demon Judgment Board that it was as if Blood Gradually Colding was the killer move of the Demon Judgment Board itself. This was an extremely ingenious creation. None of the previous Demon Judgment Board lords had managed to do this. Speaking of which, Red Heart Traveler was Guiyue Fangjing's master. But the reason why he took him in as a disciple was not voluntary, it was more due to the orders of the higher-ups and his own benefits. Thus, Red Heart Traveler's impression of Guiyue Fangjing had always been bad. He did not put this disciple in his heart. But now, Red Heart Traveler's impression of Guiyue Fangjing had changed greatly. Handing Demon Judgment Board to you was not wrong. Fangjing, you need to work harder in the future. Red Heart Traveler encouraged. Ah yes, I will engrave Master's words in my heart. Guiyue Fangjing was a little surprised, but he soon sighed. I entered the derivation formation and came into contact with the essence of Painting Path. I modified the killer move Blood Gradually Colding. After going through Demon Judgment Board, its power rose sharply and can freeze the blood of rank 8 Gu Immortal experts to death. But when it comes to Jean Budu, it can only obstruct him for a little while. Red Heart Traveler shook his head, encouraging, it is not that you are not outstanding, but the opponent is too strong. He is one of Heaven Refining Demon Venerable's strongest clones after all. When his brother Guiyue Fangyuan was mentioned, Fangjing heaved a deep sigh again. His emotions were complex and indescribable. Alright, we need to hold back Jean Budu, we cannot let him destroy the formation space too quickly. Red Heart Traveler could not conceal the worry in his heart. Sigh, Heaven Refining Demon Venerable's strongest clone is still Qi Ancestor. I hope Lady Qin Dingling can delay him. Profound Literature Grotto Heaven. The Starry Sky Calculation Formation's formation base was set up in the 2 heavens Grotto Heavens. There were only a few of these Grotto Heavens left. It could be said that Profound Literature Grotto Heaven was the final pillar. Qi currents surged like an ocean covering the sky. Qi Ancestor looked down at everyone from the sky. Qin Dingling, Duke Mei, Duke Tong, and the rest were either controlling immortal Gu houses or floating in the air. They were all looking at Qi Ancestor with extremely solemn expressions. Up until now, Qi Ancestor had displayed the strongest battle strength among pseudo-venerables in the current era. Especially when Hu Ang's move could forcefully destroy a Grotto Heaven, no one could resist it. Be it Qin Dingling's Luck Path, Che Wei's Weapon Path, Duke Mei, Duke Tong, and the other older generation Celestial Court experts risking their lives to fight, or Zhou Xiong XN 9 Spiritual Fairy, and the rest's constant harassment, they could not stop Qi Ancestor from destroying the Starry Sky Calculation Formation. Immortal Killer Move, 9 Magnificence Du Pill. Ruan Dan was constantly activating his Pill Path Killer move to heal the Celestial Court's immortals. He still had a life extension pill that could forcefully extend the life of others, even if the target had already suffered a fatal blow. This was the result of him entering the derivation formation. In this battle, if not for Ruan Dan's spectacular performance, the Celestial Court's Gu Immortals would not have lasted for so long. Be it Ruan Dan or the other Celestial Court Gu Immortals, they had made considerable progress. But Qi Ancestor had become even stronger. He could almost match Duke Long at the final moment of the Fate War. Qi currents surged and suddenly turned into countless giant dragons that scattered. They gave up on the Celestial Court's immortals and attacked Profound Literature Grotto Heaven. Old Immortal Hua Yu cried out in grief, Lord Fang Yuan, are you really going to kill us all? Before he finished speaking, tears were already falling down his face. Duke Tong shouted, everyone don't be shaken, don't rashly save the mortals, this demon is using our compassion to mess with our minds. Once we split up, we will definitely be destroyed by him. It is up to us now. 7 Fiendish Primeval Monarch suddenly transmitted to Shabi 95. Master, are we going to use that move? but we are not proficient enough in our practice. There is no other way, we can only try. We need to exert pressure to disrupt him, otherwise once Qi Ancestor finds a chance, he will use the killer move Hu Elevation again. 7 Fiendish Primeval Monarch said as he activated his killer move. Shabi 95 breathed in deeply and also activated its goo worms. The two's auras connected. Shabi 95 suddenly turned into a grand chi that poured towards 7 Fiendish Primeval Monarch. The round-headed and big-eared 7 Fiendish Primeval Monarch opened his nose and inhaled this grand chi. His body expanded rapidly. When he absorbed all of the chi into his body, he turned into a giant that could support heaven and earth. The giant 7 Fiendish Primeval Monarch pounced. With a loud sound, he crashed into the huge chi sea and stirred up countless chi currents. Qi Ancestor's body shook uncontrollably. He almost lost control of the boundless chi sea. The giant 7 Fiendish Primeval Monarch opened his nose and inhaled continuously in the chi sea. The chi sea rapidly shrunk and entered his stomach. We need to hurry up. 7 Fiendish Primeval Monarch is using Shabi 95's special trait to absorb all the chi outside. He cannot last for long. Once he reaches his limit, he will self-detonate. The Celestial Court Gu Immortals who knew the details of this move quickly moved out and attacked. Qi Ancestor was attacked alone. He first pushed with his palms, creating a 100 feet tall chi wall that obstructed the Celestial Court's attacks. Next, he waved his arm. Chi blades appeared out of nowhere and slashed at Duke Tong and 9 Spiritual Fairy, causing them to vomit blood and retreat. The chi currents became grand and majestic. Qi Ancestor was about to attack again, but 7 Fiendish Primeval Monarch ignored his own life and started to devour the chi currents again. Qi Ancestor snorted coldly as he used Yin-Yang Great Killer Move, sending 7 Fiendish Primeval Monarch flying like a ball. He used Finger Flick to hit Qin Ding Ling, Che Wei, Old Immortal Huayu, and Zhou Xianxia, easily defeating them. Jun Xinguang had incredible speed. He attacked again and attacked Qi Ancestor, but was blocked by Qi Ancestor's defensive method. Immortal Killer Move, Orchid Breath. Qi Ancestor's injuries recovered rapidly. Immortal Killer Move, Qi Engulfing Mountains and Rivers. This was a killer move from Primordial Origin's True Inheritance. It was modified by Qi Ancestor. Its activation speed was more than twice as fast. 7 Fiendish Primeval Monarch, Duke Tong, 9 Spiritual Fairy, and the rest who were about to counterattack were all stunned. They fell from the sky. In the chaotic battle, Wan Zihong, Prince's Impatience by Zhang Shui, and Uncle Feng quietly occupied the 4 directions of north, south, east, and west, surrounding Qi Ancestor. Immortal Killer Move, Earth, Water, Wood, Fire for Elements Deviation Formation. This was not an ordinary killer move, it was an ancient battle formation. This formation needed to be formed by 4 rank 8 Gu Immortals. One more or one less was not allowed. Not just that, these 4 Gu Immortals also cultivated Earth Path, Water Path, Wood Path, and Fire Path. After the killer move was activated, Wan Zihong, Prince's Impatience by Zhang Shui, and Uncle Feng were covered in armor, green, red, black, and yellow. Their bodies were shining with bright light. The 4-colored light spread rapidly, becoming one. It was turning into a battlefield killer move. Qi Ancestor's expression changed slightly. He showed a look of praise. This move was innovative. It had already touched upon another level. Not only was it an ancient battle formation, it was also a battlefield killer move. We are going to trap him. Don't relax. Success or failure depends on this. The Celestial Court Immortals were excited. Qi Ancestor laughed heartily. It is a good move. Just as he said that, a figure descended from the sky. The Immortals' expressions changed when they saw this. Chapter 2355. Seeing that Qi Ancestor was about to be trapped by the Earth, Water, Wood, and Fire 4-phase deviation formation, at the crucial moment, a rank 8 Gu Immortal attacked. The Immortals looked at him, seeing that this Immortal had a muscular body, a tall nose bridge, his body was covered in golden dragon scales, his dragon eyes were like amber, there was a pair of golden coral-like dragon horns on his forehead. He was extremely handsome. It was one of Fang Yuan's 3 clones, Dragon Man Wu Shuai. Wu Shuai had just entered Profound Literature Grotto Heaven when he was chased by 2 members of Celestial Court, Fairy Charming Soul and Golden Hooped Great Immortal. Wu Shuai had fought with them earlier, but he had not gotten rid of them completely. Be it Qi Ancestor, Zhan Budu or Wu Shuai, they had all made breakthroughs in strength. Qi Ancestor's strength rose to Duke Long's level during the final stages of the Fate War, while Zhan Budu gained many Gu worms, his methods became more comprehensive. As for Wu Shuai, he was originally on par with one Celestial Court Gu Immortal, but now he was above 2 rank 8s of Celestial Court. At this rate, Wu Shuai will definitely become a pseudo-venerable in the future. Quickly stop Wu Shuai, don't let him save Qi Ancestor. Celestial Court Gu Immortal Jun Xinguang was the first to attack, followed by 9 Spiritual Fairy, Duke Mei and Duke Tong. Wu Shuai was attacked by 5 or 6 Celestial Court Gu Immortals. He was in danger. He could only protect himself. Countless army ants surrounded him. There were tens of millions of them. No matter how many were destroyed, they could be replenished at any time. It was as if they were endless. Open. Qi Ancestor waved his sleeves, creating hundreds of feet of Qi currents again. The 4 Gu Immortals who formed the 4-phase deviation formation had a change of expression. They felt like they were mortals fighting against a Sin Dragon. The 4 Gu Immortals tried their best to maintain the formation. This was like a contest of strength against Qi Ancestor. They coughed out blood at the start. Quickly help us. Bai Tsang Shui quickly called for help. Oh no. Quickly go and help them. This formation cannot fail. Celestial Court's Gu Immortals were anxious. Duke Tong, Duke Mei, and the other Immortals surrounded Qi Ancestor. Qi Ancestor did not move. He defended with a smile on his face. Let's see how long you can defend for. Because of Qi Ancestor's display of might, Wu Shuai had a chance to catch his breath. He stretched out his hand and pointed. A large number of army ants condensed into the form of a giant eagle and attacked Profound Literature Grotto Heaven. Stop. Old Immortal Hua Yu's eyes almost split apart from rage, and he stood up to obstruct the attack. However, he was only able to eliminate 15% of the attack with all his might, and he was powerless against the remaining 85%. The entire Profound Literature abode trembled violently while army ants were gnawing everywhere, and they emitted dense and tiny chewing sounds that were horrifying to the extreme. Quick, save Profound Literature Paradise. It's the final pillar of the Myriad Stars calculation array. Old deity Hua Yu cried out in grief. Celestial Court's Gu Immortals could only mobilize manpower to protect Profound Literature Grotto Heaven. This way, the pressure on Qi Ancestor's side lessened. He could find opportunities to attack more easily. Celestial Court had to protect the Myriad Stars calculation array. It was in a very passive state. This disadvantage was exploited by Fang Yuan's 3 clones. The Celestial Court's Gu Immortals had almost no time to breathe. Profound Literature Grotto Heaven was already in a state of collapse. Countless living beings died tragically. Ants were everywhere. Many places had been drilled through, creating a passage that could leave Profound Literature Grotto Heaven and reach the outside world. But this was not an escape route. Most Gu Masters did not have the ability to fly. They would die if they left the Grotto Heaven. Gu Masters were already like this, not to mention mortals, beasts and plants. Xiaobai, take my daughter and leave. Imperial Minister Su was a rank 7 Gu Immortal of Profound Literature Grotto Heaven. He stood in front of Li Xiaobai and Su Qihan, protecting them. No, I want to continue fighting. This is my home. Li Xiaobai was already heavily injured as he spoke. His voice was trembling as tears of blood flowed down his face. Imperial Minister Su turned his head and shouted at Li Xiaobai, "Rascal! How can you show off your bravery now? Profound Literature Grotto Heaven is in danger. You are our hope. The people in your immortal aperture are the seeds of Profound Literature Grotto Heaven. Get lost, get lost. Father-in-law, let's leave together." Li Xiaobai pulled Imperial Minister Su. Imperial Minister Su waved his hand, shouting furiously, "I am an important official of the Imperial Court, but you are not. Thus you can leave but I cannot. The Empire is at stake, so what if I die?" Ah. Imperial Minister Su laughed loudly as he pushed Li Xiaobai out of Profound Literature Grotto Heaven, before flying into the ant group and starting an intense battle. "Father?" Su Qihan screamed. Her voice was filled with sorrow as tears rolled down her face. She was forcefully dragged away by Li Xiaobai through the hole in the Grotto Heaven. But right when the two were about to escape, a change occurred. The entire aperture wall of Profound Literature Grotto Heaven collapsed. Replacing it was a black-brown barrel-shaped earth wall that was full of holes and holes. There were countless caves and tunnels in the earth wall. It was like a maze. Li Xiaobai and Su Qihan, this pair of desperate lovebirds, almost escaped with their lives, but they were repelled by the earth wall. What is this? At once, almost all the Gu Immortals were shocked. A battlefield killer move? It is even faster than my rumor cage. Zhou Xiong Xian's expression changed. The other members of Celestial Court also had ugly expressions. Before they could trap Qi Ancestor completely, they found themselves trapped in a battlefield killer move instead. It is Wu Shuai's killer move. Qi ancestor smiled. Before the battle, they had already exchanged their strength and methods. Qi ancestor knew, this was Wu Shuai's myriad army ant nest battlefield killer move. The core immortal Gu used was rank 8 ant nest Gu. This move used blessed lands and grotto heavens as the foundation, first sending countless army ants to invade them. After reaching a certain level, it could be activated. Once activated, the original blessed lands and grotto heavens could be destroyed, turning them into an ant nest battlefield. The activation process was very fast, but the initial accumulation needed a long time. Thus, among the battlefield killer moves, Rumor Cage was the fastest to set up. After Wu Shuai activated Myriad Army Ant Nest, he directly captured all the existences in Profound Literature Grotto Heaven, including them in this battlefield. He immediately activated the army ants to attack the Gu immortals everywhere like a flood. At the same time, he sent many ants to devour the resources inside, allowing the army ants to reproduce rapidly. The Gu immortals of Celestial Court were attacked by the army ants. Seeing that the army ants were so compatible with this battlefield, they realized Wu Shuai was the owner of this battlefield killer move. We still underestimated him. Fang Yuan's 3 clones have many new methods. They have modified almost all of their killer moves. What will happen to Fang Yuan's main body? Now is not the time to worry about Lady Star Constellation Immortal Venerable. We need to get rid of this battlefield. The Gu immortals of Celestial Court conversed and came to a consensus. But it was not easy to find one person in this huge ant nest battlefield that was comparable to Profound Literature Grotto Heaven. The Gu immortals of Celestial Court tried many methods but to no avail. Wu Shuai hid in a corner. He began to leisurely mobilize the army ants to attack the 4 immortals of Celestial Court from all directions. The 4 immortals of Celestial Court formed a battle formation to trap Qi ancestor, but now they were being attacked by the outside world. Qi ancestor saw the chance and created countless Qi currents to attack the 4 immortals of Celestial Court from all directions. They were on the brink of death. The Gu immortals of Celestial Court could not find Wu Shuai for now. They could only focus on suppressing Qi ancestor. After several rounds of fighting, the 4 immortals of Celestial Court coughed out blood, their auras weakened again, while Qi ancestor was still full of energy and vigor. If this formation gathers earth, water, wind, and fire, it should be even more powerful. It is a pity that we lack a wind path expert. Qi ancestor smiled. The longer time passed, the more things he could see. Qi, take this. Golden hooped immortal monarch flew down, activating hundreds of golden hoops that danced in the air. The golden hoops tried to land on Qi, but they were blocked by the Qi currents around Qi ancestor. Duke May's figure suddenly appeared. His snow-white eyebrows suddenly grew, piercing through the Qi currents and coiled around Qi ancestor's arms. Qi ancestor gave a growl. Qi currents surged like a vast tsunami, crushing mountains and shattering rocks with unstoppable force. The Qi currents attacked golden-hooped immortal monarch, Duke May, and the 4 immortals of Celestial Court. At the crucial moment, Jun Xinguang, Zhou Xianxia, and the rest took action to help the 6 members of Celestial Court. The giant 7 fiendish primeval monarch charged over. A mountain-like hand slammed down on Qi ancestor's head. At the crucial moment, Qi ancestor smiled lightly. Immortal killer move, Qi sect. This move was modified from the killer move Triple Qi retraction. It used Heaven Qi and Earth Qi, 2 rank 8 immortal Gu as the cores, turning all living beings within the range of the killer move into Qi currents that returned to Qi ancestor's body, turning into Qi path Dao marks. Thus, this was not just an offensive method, it could also be used for cultivation to increase the number of Qi path Dao marks one had. This move was powerful and mysterious, but it had 2 major drawbacks. First, it expended a lot of lifespan. Second, once this move was activated, regardless of success or failure, it could not be used again within 100 days, Qi ancestor's own time. Under the killer move Qi sect, the Gu immortals of Celestial Court were first restrained. They could not move. Next, Duke May was the first to suffer, first his eyebrows, then his skin, flesh, blood, and finally his bones and organs. They all melted into Qi currents and were absorbed by Qi ancestor. When Duke May melted to his bones, golden-hooped immortal monarch also started to melt into Qi, turning into nothingness. Duke May and golden-hooped immortal monarch died one after another, followed by Jun Xinguang, Zhou Xianxia, and the rest, followed by the 4 immortals of Celestial Court who were the furthest away. The first to collapse was Wan Zihong, followed by Prince's Impatience, by Zhang Shui and Uncle Feng. Qi ancestor looked at the 4 of them. You still lack teamwork, and more importantly, two of you have just revived. Your goo worms are incomplete, they are in a weakened state. This is the greatest weakness of the battle formation. You want to trap me? Wishful thinking. The four immortals of Celestial Court gritted their teeth. They did not have the energy to speak. Seven fiendish primeval monarch was indignant. He was mostly melted, but he still raised his broken fist, wanting to smash at Qi ancestor. You seem to have forgotten about me. Wu Shuai's voice was transmitted. The army ants were densely packed. They climbed onto seven fiendish primeval monarch's body. At the next moment, seven fiendish primeval monarch's giant body collapsed. My main body is here. We won this battle. Wu Shuai laughed loudly. He could see that he did not need to make a move. As long as he laughed for a while, Qi ancestor alone would be able to defeat the four immortals of Celestial Court. Is that so? At the moment of defeat, Prince's impatience suddenly showed a smug smile. You fell for it, Qi ancestor. Before he finished speaking, at the center of the four elements offset formation, Qi ancestor's body shook. The qi currents around him changed rapidly. They turned into Lin Jianxing's figure, standing behind Qi ancestor. The Lin Jianxing formed by the qi currents was very lifelike, but he had no expression. At the next moment he stepped forward and forcefully entered Qi ancestor's body. Qi ancestor was heavily injured, his defenses crumbled. Not far away in the battlefield, Star Constellations will suddenly smiled. She ignored Zhan Budu who was in front of her and threw Star Constellation chessboard. Now, I will let you see the true secret of the star array formation. The starry sky calculation array collapsed with a loud bang, and the remaining stars all self-detonated, instantly spewing out a majestic and mighty force. With the help of Star Constellation chessboard, this force directly shattered the Ant Cave battlefield, turning Prince's impatience and the other three immortals of Celestial Court into powder before sealing Qi ancestor. Go! Star Constellation's Will's voice resounded from Star Constellation chessboard. Star Constellation chessboard rotated rapidly above Qi ancestor's head, shooting out a ray of starlight that enveloped Qi ancestor and dragged him towards Celestial Court. The door of Celestial Court was slightly opened. It had been prepared for a long time. Fang Yuan's main body rushed over. Seeing this, he showed an expression of shock and anger. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, so this was all your scheme. Chapter 2356. Success. We succeeded. Prince's impatience shouted. His pale face was filled with excitement. We did not fail you. Wan Zihang's eyes drooped. Her aura was almost non-existent. She had never been so weak before. The so-called four phases deviation formation was just a decoy. Its main purpose was to deceive others. The true purpose was to create an environment to create Lin Jianxing's sword qi. Prince's impatience, Wan Zihong, and the rest had died at Lin Jianxing's hands not long ago. After they revived, they apologized to Star Constellation Immortal Venerable with heavy hearts, but Star Constellation Immortal Venerable rewarded them instead. She told them that this was all part of Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's plan. As it turned out, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable was the #1 wisdom path person in history. During the fight between the three venerables, she used all sorts of clues to deduce that Lin Jianxing was an otherworldly demon, and his battle strength had reached pseudo-venerable level. Lin Jianxing was in closed cultivation. He had been concealing his strength. Nobody knew about his secret. Even though Star Constellation Immortal Venerable deduced it, she did not reveal it. Next, she sent 5 Gu Immortals of Celestial Court to attack Lin Jianxing. The goal was to use Phantom Path methods to steal the power of Lin Jianxing's killer move. Everyone knew that the immortal apertures of Celestial Court's members were phantom apertures. When the Celestial Court's Gu Immortals were injured in the battle with Lin Jianxing, sword path Dao marks were engraved on their bodies. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's modified Phantom Path methods could contain these sword path Dao marks in the phantom aperture, and after the Celestial Court's members died, they could be secretly retrieved. After retrieving the sword path Dao marks, through a series of methods, Lin Jianxing's methods could be reconstructed. After Qi ancestor was hit by this move, he panicked and was attacked by Star Constellation's will. He could not defend in time and was sealed. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable concealed the truth. Only after the Celestial Court's Gu Immortals revived did she tell them the true plan. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable apologized to them. The Celestial Court's 4 immortals said they did not dare to accept it. They only felt immense joy in their hearts. They had no resentment. They were loyal to the Celestial Court. They also understood that Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's concealment was reasonable. Only in a situation where they were unaware could they maintain such secrecy. That was why he was able to reveal his true feelings in the intense battle with Lin Jianxing without any flaws. But why do you have to do everything you can to obtain Lin Jianxing's methods? Wan Zihong had raised this question at the time. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable did not tell him, she only told him to follow her arrangements. Now that Qi ancestor was sealed, Prince's impatience and Wan Zihong finally understood Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's painstaking effort. The key factor was Lin Jianxing's power. Firstly, he was a pseudo-venerable, even though his main body was not as strong as Qi ancestor. The sword Qi methods that the Celestial Court restored were amplified many times. Their power far surpassed the limits of Lin Jianxing's current abilities. Secondly, Lin Jianxing's core immortal gu was sword Qi gu. Even though sword Qi was filled with sword path Dao marks, it also had dense Qi path Dao marks. Precisely because of this, he could target Qi ancestor who cultivated Qi path. Finally, Lin Jianxing's sword Qi attack was too sudden. Qi ancestor was caught unprepared. Qi ancestor is finally sealed. But Lady Star Constellation Immortal Venerable spent so much effort to capture Qi ancestor alive. What is the reason? Qi ancestor is Heaven Refining Demon Venerable's strongest clone. Maybe it is to restrain Fang Yuan. I heard that Fairy Charming Soul modified Bo Qing Soul long ago. Even though the clone is convenient, it is also a huge weakness of the main body. The other Celestial Court Gu Immortals watched as Qi ancestor was brought to the entrance of the Celestial Court. They conversed. Don't even think about it. At this time, a venerable flew down from the sky. He wore a white robe, his black hair was fluttering, his eyes were dark and deep, his expression was filled with anger and killing intent. Was Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan placed his hand on Meng Qiuzhen's shoulder, maintaining reverse flow protection seal as he attacked. Immortal killer move, Permetha Dragon Snake Dust Fog Soul Bursting Wind. Fog rumbled, dragons and snakes roared, forming a terrifying attack. It was like a grand heavenly river was pouring down, targeting Qi ancestor. Seeing that Fang Yuan did not care about anything and wanted to kill her strongest clone, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, who was following closely behind, had a grim expression. Fang Yuan, you are truly ruthless. You did not even hesitate to kill me. It is a pity that I am here. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable stopped her secluded domain of heaven and earth. She stretched out her 10 fingers and pointed. Because of the fast speed, a series of finger shadows appeared. Rainbow lights condensed from the finger shadows. They were all blue in color. They were extremely dazzling like crystals. Fang Yuan's soul fog was cut by the blue rainbow lights. It quickly crumbled. The remaining power was blocked by embroidered tower. The remaining wisps reached Qi ancestor but were protected by Star Constellation chessboard. Star Constellation U. Fang Yuan's pupils shrunk. He re-evaluated Star Constellation Immortal Venerable. In their previous fights, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable had never used such a method. It was not that she did not have it, but she did not choose to use it. She had been concealing her strength all along. Qi ancestor's clone was sealed. Fang Yuan's counterattack was within Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's expectations. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable resisted with all her strength. Fang Yuan could not make any progress. If Star Constellation Immortal Venerable tried to deal with Qi ancestor and imprison him, she would definitely be obstructed by Fang Yuan. It would be difficult for her to succeed. But by the same logic, Qi ancestor was already imprisoned. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable had the initiative. It would be easier for her to obstruct Fang Yuan's rescue. Eventually, under Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's obstruction and protection, Qi ancestor was successfully brought into Celestial Court. Master's revival. There is finally hope. Seeing this, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's heart was lifted. She could not help but feel joy. The three venerables faced off. Under the situation of Spectral Soul Palm Heaven, Giant Sun and Fang Yuan only had one choice, that was to continue fighting and wait for an opportunity to suppress them, while at the same time developing their own strength and starting an arms race. But for Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, there was a better choice. That was to revive other venerables. In the history of Celestial Court, there had been 3 generations of immortal kings, including Red Lotus Demon Venerable. It could be said that it had nurtured 4 venerables. But now, out of the 11 venerables came from Celestial Court, this was a huge number. Because other than them, there were no other super forces that had nurtured venerables. Celestial Court was the number 1 and also the only super force. As long as they could revive a venerable, Celestial Court would have a huge advantage. Red Lotus could not be considered for now. Primordial Origin and Genesis Lotus were both good choices for reviving. According to Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's investigation, Primordial Origin and Genesis Lotus both had two revival paths, but they were hidden very deeply. Genesis Lotus Self-Portrait and Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable's Celestial Court Secret Treasury needed time to find clues. It would be troublesome if they delayed. But Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable had another way to revive, that was the Chi Harvest Fruit. Celestial Court's Chi Harvest Fruit created Chi Si Ancestor. Thus, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable wanted to imprison Chi Si and force Primordial Origin's revival to continue. This way, killing Chi Si Ancestor would not work. She could only capture him alive and preserve the Chi Harvest Fruit. It was very difficult to capture a pseudo-venerable alive. Against a venerable, Chi Si Ancestor could even resist one or two moves. He was not completely defenseless. This was because he had the secluded domain of heaven and earth, Hu land, while Star Constellation Immortal Venerable lacked the rank 9 Immortal Gu of Wisdom Path and Star Path. Moreover, Fang Yuan had a lot of experience. He had a crafty and sinister nature. He paid attention to the safety of his clones. He kept them in his immortal aperture and rarely sent them out. If Star Constellation Immortal Venerable personally made a move, it would be too grand. She would be obstructed by Fang Yuan before she could make a move. Thus, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable planned this from the start. Celestial Court lacked pseudo-venerable battle strength. It was a clear disadvantage, but it was an advantage if she used it well. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable set up the Starry Sky Calculation Formation. One reason was to calculate and increase the cultivation efficiency of Central Continent's Gu Immortals. Another reason was to use it as bait to conceal her methods and deal with Chi Si Ancestor. Next, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable used Lin Jianxing's strength to obtain a crucial method to deal with Chi Si Ancestor. At the same time, she also left a flaw that was neither big nor small to show weakness. All these preparations were not enough. Heaven Path Dream Realm. This was a fortuitous encounter for Fang Yuan, but for Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, was it not a fortuitous encounter as well? As long as she used the enemy's fortuitous encounter properly, it could be her own fortuitous encounter. Fang Yuan will definitely come. The moment Star Constellation Immortal Venerable discovered the Heaven Path Dream Realm, she understood Fang Yuan's intentions. She could not do anything about the Heaven Path Dream Realm. Feng Kim Hong had not matured yet, but Star Constellation Immortal Venerable could use the Heaven Path Dream Realm as bait. The truth was, even if Feng Kim Hong matured, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable would be hesitant to use her. Feng Kim Huang's father was Feng Jioga. The latter had an unclear relationship with Red Lotus Demon Venerable. Feng Kim Hong obtained Dream Wing's Immortal Gu's origin. This was clearly the treatment of a great dream seed. And the so-called Great Dream Immortal Venerable was the plan of Providence when Fate Gu was still around. Could such a person be used? Especially at such a crucial moment? But Star Constellation Immortal Venerable did not expect Fang Yuan to move so quickly. Since he is so fast, Fang Yuan must have great strength. Before the battle started, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable had already guessed this secret. Thus, when Fang Yuan continued to expose his strength in the battle, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable was not as surprised as she showed on the surface. Fang Yuan has modified so many methods and has a new killer move, it is very likely that he will obtain Wisdom Gu again. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable stood in front of the entrance of Celestial Court, turning around to face Fang Yuan. This number 1 Wisdom Path person was covered in sparkling starlight. She had a smile on her face. Fang Yuan, do you dare to enter Heavenly Court for a chat? Saying so, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable floated backwards, crossing the Immortal Aperture's entrance and entering Celestial Court. The entrance of Celestial Court was still wide open. Fang Yuan stopped in his tracks. He snorted coldly, activating killer moves again and again. First was Bai Lai Dragon Snake Dust Fog Soul Bursting Wind, followed by Year Shocking Dream Turbulence Soul Sound, but Star Constellation Immortal Venerable blocked them easily. Using the countless Wisdom Path Dao marks in Celestial Court, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's strength rose sharply. Fang Yuan's expression was extremely dark. He snickered. Star Constellation is truly the number 1 Wisdom Path person. You are truly amazing. Why don't we make a hostage transaction? Fang Yuan, you are empty-handed. Who can you trade with? Fang Yuan raised his arms, saying loudly, at this moment, Central Continent's men, women, children, immortals, mortals, fools, they are all my hostages. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable heard this and sighed. She had clearly expected this. She had a complex expression on her face. There was helplessness, guilt, determination, anger, and so on. She opened her mouth. but her expression turned cold as she said to Fang Yuan, "Then go." Chapter 2357. Then you can go. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's words almost caused the atmosphere between the two venerables to freeze. Fang Yuan could not help but mock. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, Celestial Court Immortal King, a superforce indeed, great Celestial Court, the leader of humanity. But soon he squinted his eyes, his expression turned grim. "No, if it is just for my clone, even if he has Qi. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, what is your intention?" Star Constellation Immortal Venerable did not speak. Her figure flickered like a star as she disappeared into the Immortal Aperture's entrance. Fang Yuan's expression was gloomy, a cold light flickered in his eyes, and anxiety gradually appeared on his face. Fang Yuan turned around and descended from spectral heaven, arriving above Central Continent and entering the battlefield. He tried to capture the members of Celestial Court, but these Gu immortals had already committed suicide. They would all revive in Celestial Court's immortal graveyard. Fate Gu was destroyed. There was a lot of potential in reviving by suicide. Celestial Court had many methods. One was the Phantom Aperture. When the Gu immortal died, the Phantom Aperture would return. There were very few losses. The other side's Gu immortal would intentionally commit suicide. The immortal Gu would be returned to them through jewel yellow skies. Right now, Celestial Court had already developed this into an outstanding battle tactic. It was very difficult to prevent a Gu immortal from escaping at the same cultivation level. At the very least, there needed to be an immortal formation or an immortal battlefield killer move to trap the target. Preventing a Gu immortal from committing suicide was naturally much more difficult than preventing them from escaping. If they wanted to die, what could they do? However, with Zhan Budu and Wu Shuai restraining them, there were still some Gu immortals who were still fighting. Fang Yuan's main body descended, bringing despair to these Central Continent Gu immortals. He did not hold back. He waved his sleeves and suppressed these Gu immortals. He did not massacre them, he captured them all. He captured more than 10 Central Continent Gu immortals, but not a single member of Celestial Court, including Li Xiaobai. Celestial Court and Star Constellation Immortal Venerable did not make a move. Fang Yuan's main body's expression became increasingly ugly. He thought for a moment, then immediately flew towards Feihe Mountain. Flying Crane Mountain of Zhongzhou State was the foundation of Crane Gate. Not only was this mountain a super resource point, but it was also the public blessed land of Crane Gate. Fang Yuan was currently at the center of the Starry Sky Actuarial Array. The closest superpower to him was Crane Gate. However, when he arrived at the original location of the Flying Crane Mountain, the floating mountain range had completely disappeared. Fang Yuan's expression changed again because of this. He turned northwest and headed for the 10,000 Dragon Dock. Like the Crane Gate, the 10,000 Dragon Dock was one of the top 10 ancient sects in the Central Continent. The headquarters of the Myriad Dragon Dock was situated on an island in the middle of the Dragon Lake. When Fang Yuan arrived, the Dragon Lake and the Central Island were still there, but the public blessed land was empty. Fang Yuan went to Heavenly Lotus Sect, Spirit Butterfly Valley, Ancient Soul Sect, Heaven's Envy Manor, Wind Cloud Manor, Combat Immortal Sect, Spirit Affinity House and Black Heaven Temple. All of their headquarters were empty and there was no sign of anyone. Evidently, Wisdom Path Immortal Venerable Star Constellation had planned this long ago. She had made ample preparations to give up on Central Continent and retreat. Celestial Court. In Qi Ancestor's mind. Qi Ancestor could not move. The thoughts in his mind were suppressed by Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's method. But the will left in Qi Ancestor's mind was still resisting stubbornly. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, you schemed well. After being imprisoned for a period of time, Qi Ancestor had already thought things through. Lin Jianxing's Sword Qi killer move was very effective against him. At first glance, it was because the Sword Qi was concealed and had Qi Path Dao marks. Qi Ancestor could not sense it when he activated the Qi currents. But after analyzing it from a deeper level, Qi Ancestor was sure that the culprit was Sword Path Dao marks. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable sensed Qi Ancestor's thoughts and said, "You are right, Lin Jianxing is different from others, he is an otherworldly demon. And all otherworldly demons carry otherworldly Dao marks with them." Thieving Heaven Demon Venerable carried otherworldly space path Dao marks. That was why the Thieving Heaven True Inheritance space he created could stop the Venerables of the future. Inside Crazed Demon Cave, a chaotic hole had once appeared. Thieving Heaven used the otherworldly space path Dao marks as the main force to seal it. Qi Ancestor understood. It seems that Lin Jianxing has otherworldly sword path Dao marks on him. This move is likely to be effective against Venerables. Isn't it too wasteful to use it against my clone? Star Constellation Immortal Venerable immediately revealed the truth behind the Qi Harvest Fruit and primordial origin Immortal Venerable's revival. Qi sees will shook intensely. So that's it. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, you had a plan long ago. Setting up the Starry Sky Computation Formation was a trap. Next, you used Heaven Path Dream Realms to lure me into attacking the Starry Sky Computation Formation. You were right after all. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable said, as a Wisdom Path Gu Immortal, I naturally have a deep understanding of Fang Yuan's nature. Moreover, you are his most capable clone. There is a high chance that he sent you to attack the Starry Sky Computation Formation. Qi sees will sneered, in that case you spent so much effort to capture me alive and bring me to Celestial Court. Did you deduce my main body's actions? Your Jianghu state is going to be finished. Ah. What a pity. If you refined all of Central Continent's Wisdom Path Dao marks, you might be able to resist my main body. What a pity, what a pity. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's tone turned gloomy. My Celestial Court is the leader of the righteous path. It has been over 3 million years since we were established. Since ancient times until now, countless Celestial Court Gu Immortals have sacrificed their lives to protect the righteous path and humanity. Right now, many Venerables are confronting each other. It is chaotic. It is even more severe and terrifying than the immemorial antiquity era when variant humans ruled the world. Central Continent's 4 battlegrounds have been confronting the other Venerables for a long time. I, Star Constellation, am feeling increasingly powerless. I can only focus on the important matters and the big picture. Since I have already made this plan, I know Fang Yuan's reaction. Now that my plan has succeeded, my Central Continent's people and countless living beings will suffer from Fang Yuan's terrifying revenge. However, as long as Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable revives, my Celestial Court will have 2 Venerables. The situation of the 5 regions will change drastically. Everyone knows that the demonic path is free and unrestrained, but they do not know that protecting the righteous path requires even more courage and responsibility. I, Star Constellation, have sinned. In order to gain an advantage in the righteous path, I sacrificed countless living beings. I am deeply sinful. But I am willing to bear this mountain of sin. I only ask for more hope for the future, for humanity, and for the righteous path. The truth is, Divine Emperor City already has a record of popularity. In the future, together with the Celestial Court's immortal graveyard, we will have even greater power to revive them. I swear, no matter how many humans Fang Yuan slaughters now, as long as I have a trace of strength in the future, I will do my best to revive them. If I go against this oath, let me, Star Constellation, never be human again. Qi Ancestor was stunned by these words. Even as an enemy, he could not help but admire Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's courage, responsibility, and decisiveness. Oh, Lady Star Constellation Immortal Venerable. Sob sob sob, we were too shallow. We were still holding grudges against you earlier. Everything is for righteousness. How can we compromise because of Demon Venerable's threat and revenge? This is not kindness, it is weakness. That's right, if we compromise this time, we will compromise again and again in the future. We are the backbone of Central Continent's righteous path. How can we bow down to Fang Yuan? The Gu Immortals of Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects gathered together. They heard the entire conversation between Star Constellation Immortal Venerable and Qi will. Their emotions surged, many of them shed hot tears on the spot. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable used Qi Ancestor to explain to them personally. The resentment, confusion, anger, and so on that were hidden in their hearts earlier vanished. The Gu Immortals of Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects were filled with reverence towards Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, as well as the confidence and courage to defend the righteous path. But at the next moment, a Gu Immortal shouted, "Oh no, Heaven Refining Demon Venerable released news from Jewel Yellow Skies. He said that we captured Qi Ancestor to create the Qi Harvest Fruit and revive Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable." Everyone was in a commotion. Many people immediately contacted Jewel Yellow Skies before someone scolded loudly, "Fang Yuan is such a despicable scoundrel." He even recorded the scene of Star Constellation Immortal Venerable rejecting his threat. He made a recording of it and played it in Jewel Yellow Skies. He is trying to disrupt the people of Central Continent and attack the reputation of our Celestial Court. There is a traitor. There might be Fang Yuan's spy among us. Otherwise, how could he know the truth? Someone shouted, mentioning the possibility of a spy. The Gu Immortals became even more uneasy. Many Gu Immortals requested for Star Constellation Immortal Venerable to investigate everyone. But Star Constellation Immortal Venerable shook her head. Everyone, don't be anxious. I personally escorted Qi ancestor this time. Fang Yuan was already suspicious of me because of how important this was. Venerables are not easy to deceive, it is normal for him to see through us. Even though Fang Yuan does not have evidence, he might not be sure himself, but he purposely released this news to attract Giant Sun Immortal's alliance. But it is fine, I will stay in Celestial Court and not go out. Even if Giant Sun, Fang Yuan, and Spectral Soul work together, they will not be able to obstruct the plan to revive Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable. As long as we do not waver and stay here, Fang Yuan and the rest will not be able to do anything. The Immortals heard this and their eyes shined. They praised Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's unparalleled wisdom. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable was truly experienced. Even if there were Fang Yuan spies among the Immortals, she did not intend to investigate them. Investigate what? The morale of the people was low now. When Fang Yuan massacred Central Continent, the morale would be even higher. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable could not wait to deal with the morale of the people. There was no need to panic. Furthermore, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable was not afraid of any spies. Even if Fang Yuan, Giant Sun, and Spectral Soul attacked together, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable was confident in protecting Celestial Court. This was the benefit of having the support of the main base. No matter how many people Fang Yuan slaughtered, no matter how pitiful Central Continent was, as long as Star Constellation Immortal Venerable revived Primordial Origin, it would be a huge victory. Just like earlier, no matter how pathetic Fang Yuan was against Giant Sun and Star Constellation Alliance, as long as he succeeded in exploring the Dream Realm, he would be the true victor. In fact, back in Crazed Demon Cave, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable had already made preparations to revive Primordial Origin. During the contest for Primordial Domain, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable had purposely gathered Chi Path and Wood Path. Thus, once Primordial Origin was revived, he would be able to absorb Chi Path. Even if he did not reach Supreme Grandmaster attainment level, he would be close. What Star Constellation Immortal Venerable was worried about were immortal goo. Even if Primordial Origin revived without suitable immortal goo, he could not display his full strength. This was like the current Star Constellation Giant Sun, and the rest. They did not have suitable rank 9 immortal goo, they also had brand new rank 9 immortal apertures. They were far from their peak state in the previous life. Right now, Heaven Chi and Earth Chi immortal goo are in Chi Si. There is also the secluded domain of Heaven and Earth, who land. Together with the human Chi immortal goo and others that were left in Celestial Court, Master already has half of his Chi Path goo worms. It is a huge pity that he does not have rank 9 Chi Path immortal goo. But what if he has them in Primordial Origin's secret treasury? After Master revives, he can open the secret treasury himself. I won't need to spend so much effort to find clues about Primordial Origin's secret treasury. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable planned quietly. Chapter 2358. Profound Jade Snake Cave was a famous super resource point in Central Continent. It belonged to one of the 10 great ancient sects of Central Continent, Heaven's Envy Manor. Profound Jade Snake Cave's yearly production of resources was among the top 5 in Central Continent. There were many types of resources, including Enslavement Path, Transformation Path, Earth Path, Dark Path, Space Path, and Poison Path. Profound Jade Snake Cave had a vast number of poisonous creatures. Profound Jade Snakes were the overlords among them. They specialized in dealing with poisonous creatures. Every Profound Jade Snake was an immemorial desolate beast. They were born from jade and had no scales. They were light green like jade and emitted a pure fragrance. The most precious creature in Profound Jade Snake Cave was the Profound Jade Snake. It was not easy to find one. Not only because the Profound Jade Snake was small and quiet, but also because Profound Jade Snake Cave's terrain was complex. There were countless caves, and because it contained space path downmarks, there were often large caves inside small caves that were layered together. Even though Heaven's Envy Manor had this super resource point and set up an immortal formation, they did not have complete control over it. Every year, to capture the Profound Jade Snakes, Heaven's Envy Manor had to send many Gu immortal experts into Profound Jade Snake Cave to explore. But for Fang Yuan now it was not so troublesome. Rise. After preparing for a while, Fang Yuan activated his killer move. At the next moment the ground shook. The entire Profound Jade Snake Cave rose into the sky from the rumbling dust. Under Fang Yuan's method, it shrunk and entered the Sovereign Immortal Aperture. This was Fang Yuan's 11th super resource point. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, if you don't hand over my clone, I will take all of Central Continent's major resource points. Fang Yuan did not forget to threaten her. But star constellation Immortal Venerable did not move. She was clearly determined to defend Celestial Court and revive primordial origin Immortal Venerable. She would not be shaken by the outside world. Fang Yuan snorted coldly as he continued to attack. He arrived at the source of falling heavenly river. This river fell from the sky. The endless river water slammed onto the surface of the river with great force. The rumbling of the water flow was like thunder. A huge amount of water vapor was produced, forming a thick fog that shrouded the surroundings. This river was formed because Bo Qing was trying to break through to the ninth transformation realm. Not only had the falling heavenly river created an inland ocean, but the river water had also opened up a path, forming the longest river that traversed the central continent. It slanted across the entire Jianghu state and eventually flowed out of the eastern part of the Jianghu state toward the East Sea. Even with the merging of the two heavens, it only slightly weakened the scale of the falling heavenly river. It was still vast and majestic, a magnificent sight to behold. After collecting the mysterious Jade Snake Cave, Fang Yuan arrived at the source of the falling heavens river. "I'll take it." Fang Yuan made his move. After a short while, the size of the falling heavenly river had shrunk by 60%. This 60% of falling heavenly river was kept into the sovereign immortal aperture by Fang Yuan. If the water level of the inland ocean at the source of the falling heavenly river dropped by several thousand feet, the water level of the middle and lower reaches of the falling heavenly river would definitely plummet, exposing the riverbed. This would negatively affect the vegetation, crops, temperature, and the lives of mortals around the river. Fang Yuan quickly left the falling heavenly river and arrived at the Spirit Marsh Spring. This was a super resource point controlled by Ancient Soul Sect. Ancient Soul Sect had once sent Yang Feng to guard this place, but Sleeping Old Man succeeded. But now, Yang Feng had already entered Central Continent's Celestial Court with a large group of Ancient Soul Sect's people. Fang Yuan easily broke the Immortal Formation and took away the Spirit Marsh Spring. After the Spirit Marsh Spring was the Pot River. This river was like a long jade belt. It was carved in the eastern part of Central Continent. The willows were green by the riverside, the wind was warm. The water of the Pot River always flowed gently like a beautiful song. The melody was gentle and melodious. There were many pot grasses growing in the river. Wind Cloud Manor controlled the Pot River and held a Pot River ceremony every year. But not long after, Fang Yuan moved the entire Pot River into his immortal aperture. Even if there was a Pot River ceremony in the future, it could only be held in the sovereign immortal aperture. After the Pot River ceremony was Hidden Dragon Cave. Hidden Dragon Cave had once imprisoned the legendary immemorial desolate beast Xianxia. There were a large number of enslavement path and rule path Dao marks here, as well as the remnant immortal formation that the Celestial Court had set up. It had great reference value for most formation path Gu immortals. After Hidden Dragon Cave entered the sovereign immortal aperture, it was Lake Heart Mountain's turn. This was the headquarters of Spirit Affinity House. To be chosen by the 10 great ancient sects of Central Continent as their base, it was naturally a place of great talents. Lake Heart Mountain itself was a super resource point. It not only contained Secret Inheritance Peak, Mini Frost Peak, Passion Peak, Fierce Flame Peak, Heavenly Flower Peak, and other peaks. It also had Fairy Life Tablet Rooms, Time Path Cultivation Immortal Formations, and other facilities. Of course, the Life Tablet Goo in the Fairy Life Tablet Rooms were taken away, and the Immortal Goo in the Time Path Cultivation Immortal Formation were also taken away. But most of these facilities were still intact. They could be used after some repairs. Soon, Lake Heart Mountain became a scene in the sovereign immortal aperture. After Lake Heart Mountain was Mountain Tortoise Valley, then Prison Valley, Red River Beach, 100 Knot Forest, Phosphorescence River, Earth Chi Stone Forest, Quiet Rain Valley. Fang Yuan plundered wantonly without any restraints. Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects had retreated, while star constellation Immortal Venerable guarded the Celestial Court. Fang Yuan had no resistance. His efficiency in plundering was extremely high. If someone like Giant Sun Immortal wanted to relocate these resource points, they could only use luck path or blood path methods to imitate other paths and relocate them painstakingly. Fang Yuan had the sovereign immortal body. His Dao marks did not conflict. He could use all sorts of methods. For moving caves, Earth Path was naturally the most suitable method. For plundering forests, Wood Path was naturally the most suitable method. And more importantly, Fang Yuan had many immortal Gu. He had a huge reserve of them. Not mentioning rank 9 immortal Gu, rank 8 immortal Gu were as easy to refine as drinking water. Resource points after resource points were taken by him. The essence of Central Continent was being plundered greedily by him. He did not show any signs of satiation. There were still some resource points that Fang Yuan could not obtain for the time being. For example, Sorrowful Wind mountain range was too huge. Fang Yuan could not move the entire mountain range in a short period of time. He could move one or two mountains very quickly, but the mountain range spanned across the continent. It was not something that one or two mountains could compare to. Another example was Hairy Foot Mountain. Hairy Foot Mountain once had infallible blessed land. Fang Yuan was the first to go there, but it was destroyed by the Celestial Court. There was also Reincarnation Battlefield. This was a battlefield killer move that Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable personally set up. It left its name in history. It was publicly recognized as the #1 battlefield killer move in history. Fang Yuan inspected it for a while before leaving. It was not that he could not take it, he just needed to inspect it and deduce it. This consumed a lot of time and energy, and the exact amount of time was hard to estimate. Fang Yuan was very experienced in plundering. He moved very efficiently. He left 40% of Falling Heavenly River behind, not because he was willing to, but because he had to expend a lot of time and energy. Rather than wasting it here, he might as well plunder other places. Central Continent fell into an unprecedented turmoil. Even during the Fate War, it was not this chaotic and turbulent. During the Fate War, it was mainly a battle between Gu Immortals. The Celestial Court and Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects had to abide by their rules. But now, the Celestial Court and Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects Gu Immortals had retreated. They guarded the Celestial Court to the death. Central Continent had become a defenseless place. Fang Yuan did not conceal his plundering and relocation of resource points. Every time he did it, it would cause a huge commotion. Everyone's hearts were moved. Venerables eat the meat, we can drink the soup, right? Even if it is just a mouthful of soup, it will be enough for us to drink. This is Central Continent. The 10 great ancient sects Gu Immortals have all left. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It's too rare. The 5 regional walls no longer existed. The Gu Immortals of the other 4 regions started to move. Next were Central Continent's few demonic path Gu Immortals, Lone Immortals, and finally Central Continent's righteous path Gu Immortals. Central Continent's righteous path did not just consist of the 10 great ancient sects. There were also many superforces like Great Heavenly Sword Sect, Lightning Information Sect, Evil Expelling Sect, and others. Of course, these righteous path forces acted in the name of protecting Central Continent and helping the Celestial Court. These people naturally did not dare to appear in front of Fang Yuan, but Central Continent was huge. There were many resource points. Many resource points were not important to Fang Yuan, or were placed at the back of the plundering plan. These places were the stage for the Gu Immortals. The Sovereign Immortal Aperture was also in chaos. The Gu Immortals were extremely busy. There had never been such a large scale of resource points being moved in. This was simply like a surging tide. It was endless. Most importantly, super resource points were everywhere. They occupied the majority. The Sovereign Immortal Aperture's Gu Immortals were extremely shocked. Master is mighty. He plundered the whole of Central Continent. This is the might of a venerable. This is Lord Fang Yuan. Very good. Now that Lord Qi Si has been taken by Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, even if Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable revives successfully, his gains will be a barren Central Continent. The first ring of Wind Vein has been completed. The second ring of Light Vein has been completed. The first ring of Dark Path has been completed. The Sovereign Immortal Aperture's time flow was very different from the outside world of the 5 regions. All sorts of Dao veins were rapidly built: Metal Path, Light Path, Dark Path, Poison Path, Rule Path, Enslavement Path, Transformation Path. The Gu Immortals worked through the night. After squeezing out all their energy, they continued to move towards the Liver Life Immortal Hall. Often, people would burn their liver to the limit, but it was not a problem. Many healing halls had been built in the Sovereign Immortal Aperture. At once, many Gu Immortals in the Sovereign Immortal Aperture were like UZ, they had saltwater livers. A person would not get rich without a windfall, a horse would not get fat without grass at night. Fang Yuan's no-cost business allowed his Sovereign Immortal Aperture's development to reach an unprecedented efficiency. Central Continent was a land of war, but it was also a land with abundant resources. It was second only to Eastern Sea in the 5 regions. Eastern Sea had many waterpath resources, but Central Continent's resources were plentiful and comprehensive. They were not biased. Central Continent had been developed by the Celestial Court for over 3 million years. Its development had reached the limit. Almost every immortal level resource point was taken. These became Fang Yuan's targets for plundering. In the Sovereign Immortal Aperture, many Dao veins were constructed in one go. This was a great help in stabilizing the Sovereign Immortal Aperture. Thus, even though the sovereign immortal aperture annexed so many resource points because of the completion of the Dao veins, it was more stable than before. With this foundation, Fang Yuan started to collect the primordial domain in jewel yellow skies. He also started to annex blessed lands everywhere. He had always kept the primordial domain in jewel yellow skies. He finally stopped concealing it. He started to absorb it all. There were many blessed lands all over Jianghu state. For example, flowing silver blessed land that was exposed due to the qi tides, or Hu immortal blessed land and star form blessed land that Fang Yuan gave up after obtaining them. Chapter 2359. Star Constellation. Are the rumors in jewel yellow skies true? Giant Sun Immortal fought with Spectral Soul Demon Venerable while contacting Star Constellation Immortal Venerable. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable only replied perfunctorily, "This is Fang Yuan's scheme, he is using it to make use of your determination." Giant Sun Immortal dodged Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's counterattack as he probed. Right now, Fang Yuan is plundering Central Continent. Why is Star Constellation not stopping him? If you are willing to give up Central Continent's resources, why don't you join me to deal with Spectral Soul Demon Venerable? Weren't you the one who wanted to eliminate Spectral Soul Demon Venerable? Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, however, refused. Giant Sun, do your best. After I heal my injuries, I will help you. Giant Sun Immortal could only sigh. Truly a formidable Star Constellation Immortal Venerable. Good plan, good plan. As a Venerable, after seeing that Star Constellation Immortal Venerable captured Xianxia and hid in Celestial Court without leaving, she even gave up Central Continent's resources and summoned the Gu Immortals of Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects back to Celestial Court. He had already guessed the truth. What else could make the Grand Celestial Court, the Grand Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, be willing to make such a sacrifice? The only way was to revive the Venerable. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable was silent. She did not reply. Giant Sun Immortal could only retreat. He did not fight Spectral Soul Demon Venerable anymore. He transmitted to Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan, I cannot lure Star Constellation Immortal Venerable out. The revival of the primordial beginning Immortal was a foregone conclusion. Alas, now that I think about it, there were traces of this long ago. Do you still remember the battle in Crazed Demon Cave? Back then, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable and I worked together to suppress you, but we made a mistake and lost the opportunity. At that time, it was you who used Xianxia to block her, causing Star Constellation Immortal Venerable to go easy on her. Fang Yuan snorted coldly, replying, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable is truly the #1 person in history. It is normal for my wisdom path attainment to be inferior to her. Moreover, what was the point of saying all this now? The only way to turn the situation around is if you and I join hands and attack the Celestial Court. Giant Sun Immortal stopped attacking and only dodged Spectral Soul Demon Venerable, pulling apart the distance between them as he pondered. He furrowed his brows and thought quickly. From the looks of it, he was the biggest loser in the Heavenly Dao Dream Realm battle. Fang Yuan obtained the Heaven Path Dream Realm but lost Xianxia's clone, but he also plundered a lot of Central Continent's resources. Even though Star Constellation Immortal Venerable sacrificed Central Continent's resources, she captured Xianxia's clone. Once Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable revives, she would be the biggest winner of this battle. Even if all the creatures in Jianghu state were slaughtered by Fang Yuan, it was still a profit. The addition of another supremacy would change the entire situation. No matter how much Jianghu state lost in resources and manpower, it was only a quantitative change. These were two completely different concepts. Even a fool knew what to do. As long as the two venerables of the Celestial Court worked together, they could easily suppress Fang Yuan, Giant Sun Immortal, or Spectral Soul Demon Venerable. It was impossible for Fang Yuan, Giant Sun, or Spectral Soul to refine natural Dao marks. Because once the two venerables of the Celestial Court attacked, anyone could only retreat in defeat. They could not refine Dao marks for a long period of time. Conversely, the Celestial Court only needed to send one venerable to harass them, while the other could easily refine the Dao marks. As time passed, the Celestial Court's advantage grew. After refining the natural Dao marks of the 5 regions, there was basically no space for other venerables to move around. Of course, in this situation, Giant Sun, Fang Yuan, and Spectral Soul would definitely work together. But could their combined strength compare to the combined strength of the Celestial Court's venerables? Spectral Soul Demon Venerable was not in a clear state of mind. He still had to rely on Giant Sun Immortal and Fang Yuan to work together. But Giant Sun Immortal Venerable himself had no confidence in this. This was clearly not possible. Be it tacit cooperation or the difference in ideals, these differences would be magnified in a battle of life and death. Not just that, there was also the third-generation Immortal King of the Celestial Court, Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable. Once two Venerables revive, the difficulty of reviving the third Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable would plummet to rock bottom. Thus, the Celestial Court has reached the most crucial turning point. Giant Sun Immortal was very clear about this fact. This was like when Fang Yuan refined Gu earlier, he suffered the backlash of the Venerable luck. As long as he could endure it, there would be a qualitative change. After gaining the upper hand, no matter what he did, the difficulty would be much lower than before. The reason why the Venerables were in a stalemate was because they had either just revived or advanced to Venerable, they were on the same starting line, or rather, the gap between them was very small. But if another Venerable from the Celestial Court revived, this stalemate would be broken. Even if Giant Sun and Fang Yuan worked together, they could not match the Celestial Court. If I cannot stop Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, this might be the moment when the Celestial Court regains its dominance over the world and defeats the other Venerables. Based on this understanding, after Qi Si was brought into the Celestial Court, Giant Sun Immortal's stance changed. He contacted Fang Yuan and set up a plan to disguise himself and continue to fight against Spectral Soul Demon Venerable. It is a pity that Star Constellation Immortal Venerable can see through people's thoughts. I cannot deceive her. If Star Constellation Immortal Venerable was in Central Continent, Giant Sun would still have hope. After all, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable had the geographical advantage of Central Continent. She would not be as strong as she was in the Celestial Court. But now that Star Constellation Immortal Venerable was holed up, Giant Sun Immortal could not do anything. Those who were good at fighting would not have outstanding achievements. At the crucial moment, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable did not try to expand her gains. She was also not affected by the reputation of the Celestial Court. She even bore the huge pressure of sacrificing and abandoning Central Continent's people. She made the correct choice. Luck Inspection. Giant Sun Immortal was unwilling to give up. He used his luck inspection method again. The result of the inspection disappointed him. The luck of the Celestial Court surpassed everyone else. It was even showing signs of increasing. Be it Giant Sun Immortal, Fang Yuan, or Spectral Soul Demon Venerable, their luck was suppressed by the Celestial Court. Other than that, Giant Sun Immortal did not see any huge changes that could affect the current situation. Giant Sun Immortal, what are you hesitating for? Fang Yuan urged again. Giant Sun Immortal sighed. Fang Yuan, we have lost this battle. Accept this reality. We will have to go through a lot of trouble to enter the Celestial Court. Even if we fight our way into the Celestial Court, even if we cooperate without any ill feelings or guard against each other, can we be Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's match? Even with Spectral Soul Demon Venerable, we won't be able to do it. On the contrary, if we attack rashly, we will fall into Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's trap. Our strength will fall greatly. In my opinion, it's better to keep a useful body for the future. Fang Yuan snorted coldly. He was displeased. You have not worked hard enough. How can I accept this reality? Star Constellation Immortal Venerable is the #1 person in Wisdom Path. She could scheme against us so easily. In the future, with Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable, it will be even easier. What is the way to deal with Wisdom Path Gu Immortals? That is to eliminate them immediately. We cannot give Wisdom Path Gu Immortals time to make arrangements. Right now, our situation is the best proof. Giant Sun Immortal asked. Then Fang Yuan, what do you think we should do now? Fang Yuan gritted his teeth. Plundering Central Continent and slaughtering all living beings, I don't believe Star Constellation Immortal Venerable can sit still. Even if she can, when Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable revives, there will only be a barren land. Giant Sun Immortal shook his head. This action was too cruel and demonic. It was not in line with his nature. Giant Sun Immortal had his reservations. If he did this, what if Star Constellation Immortal Venerable or Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable retaliated and slaughtered the Huangjin tribes of Northern Plains? What could he do? Giant Sun Immortal had another thought. Fang Yuan is trying to lure me to stand on his side. If I participate in slaughtering Central Continent's living beings, there will be no way to resolve the conflict with the Celestial Court. My demonic path identity will be sealed. Without resolving the conflict, there would be no room to maneuver. In the future, the pressure of the two Venerables would be on Giant Sun Immortal's shoulders. And he was not as cold and ruthless as Fang Yuan. He could not ignore the safety of his subordinates. I have my headquarters in Longevity Heaven. Even if the three Venerables of the Celestial Court revive, I can defend my foundation. This is my bargaining chip. But Fang Yuan is all alone, he doesn't have a base. This is very disadvantageous to him. That is why he wants to drag me down with him. But if I do not participate in this, the Celestial Court will definitely target Fang Yuan in the future. I will have more time to cultivate. Everything is not set in stone yet. Giant Sun Immortal thought of this and rejected Fang Yuan's suggestion. But Giant Sun Immortal did not completely offend Fang Yuan. He said, I cannot bear to slaughter so many living beings. I advise you not to do it yourself. It is more suitable for someone else to do it. I will give him to you now. Coward. Fang Yuan scolded, you are just fishing for fame. Giant Sun Immortal was not angry. He could understand Fang Yuan's unwillingness and anger after being schemed against. He lured Spectral Soul Demon Venerable to Fang Yuan, and Fang Yuan landed in Central Continent. Spectral Soul Demon Venerable was not like Giant Sun Immortal. He did not let down Fang Yuan's expectations. He left Spectral Heaven and went on a rampage after arriving in Central Continent. This was within Fang Yuan and Giant Sun's expectations. Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's injuries were severe, but he could use slaughtering living beings and hunting soul beasts to heal himself and increase his strength. He had done this in Spectral Heaven earlier, he was doing the same now. Celestial Court. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable had been paying attention to the two Venerables' movements. When she saw Spectral Soul Demon Venerable slaughtering all living beings in Central Continent, she sighed deeply. But when she saw Giant Sun Immortal leaving Central Continent and returning to Northern Plains, her eyes brightened and she felt joy in her heart. The Celestial Court Gu Immortals around her did not understand. Even if Giant Sun Immortal did not try to invade Celestial Court, he would at least plunder some resources in Central Continent, right? But he left just like that. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable understood Giant Sun Immortal's scheme. She said to Golden Hooped Immortal Monarch, your actions back then were not in vain, you have already obtained the greatest effect. It turned out that Golden Hooped Immortal Monarch had once invited Giant Sun Immortal to visit Celestial Court. His goal was to recruit him and make him the 4th generation Immortal King of Celestial Court. This plan failed and was even used by Giant Sun Immortal to secretly leave behind a luck path method in Celestial Court. During the Fate War, this luck path method was activated and caused severe losses to Celestial Court. But in fact, Golden Hooped Immortal Monarch's actions were not completely unaffected by Giant Sun Immortal. In Giant Sun Immortal's mind, Celestial Court was willing to recruit him and even hand over the position of leader to Celestial Court. Thus, Celestial Court could communicate and compromise with him. Chapter 2360. Hearing Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's words, many Gu Immortals reacted. Now it seems that Giant Sun Immortal still has righteous path thoughts. He is indeed very different from Fang Yuan, be it in terms of actions or ideology. Fang Yuan is ruthless, he can casually sacrifice his subordinates and treat everyone as his tools. Giant Sun Immortal, however, does not do that. He is very protective of his subordinates and has deep familial ties. In my opinion, he has much more foresight than Fang Yuan. He knows that if he acts like Fang Yuan, he will have irreconcilable enmity with Celestial Court, there will be no reconciliation. He has already schemed to express his goodwill to Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable in the future. In my opinion, this is all Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's scheme. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable defended Celestial Court to the death. She watched as Fang Yuan plundered Central Continent. To speak the truth, I was quite indignant about it. But now, it seems that Star Constellation Immortal Venerable did not give Giant Sun Immortal any hope. It was just this scheme that lured Giant Sun Immortal to retreat. The results were shocking. I really should not have used my shallow understanding to try and fathom Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's wisdom. Xianxia's eyes were shut. He did not move. He floated in the air of Celestial Court like a statue. Above his head, Star Constellation chessboard slowly moved. A blue pillar of light shot out and enveloped him. After a while, Xianxia's Immortal Aperture's entrance opened, causing the Immortals to cheer. Next, Rank 8 Heaven Chi Immortal Gu flew out of Chi's Immortal Aperture. Next was Earth Chi Immortal Gu, followed by all sorts of Chi Path Immortal Gu. The Immortals were shaken. Even though Xianxia is strong, in front of Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, he can only wait to be slaughtered. Self-detonating Immortal Gu is so easy, but Xianxia, this pseudo-venerable, is already completely under Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's control. Even self-detonating Immortal Gu is an extravagant hope. Once Lord Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable revives, these Chi Path Immortal Gu can help him recover most of his strength. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's plan is truly flawless. The Immortals exclaimed in admiration. Star constellation Immortal Venerable had clearly suppressed Qi ancestor completely. She controlled his mind and used her own thoughts to replace Qi's thoughts. Thus, he could open the Immortal Aperture's entrance and suppress all the goo worms inside. Of course, these Qi Path goo worms belonged to Qi ancestor. They were filled with Qi's will. It was much more difficult for Star Constellation Immortal Venerable to get rid of these wills in Immortal goo than controlling Qi ancestor's mind. Because these Immortal goo did not have brains, to expel the Qi will in them, the most effective way was to directly refine these Qi Path Immortal goo. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable did not intend to do that. She only suppressed these Immortal goo and prevented them from self-destructing, leaving them for her master Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable to deal with in the future. Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable was a Qi Path goo cultivator. He could deal with these Qi Path Immortal goo better than Star Constellation. After all the Immortal goo were taken out, it was Hulan's secluded domain of heaven and earth's turn. When Hulan appeared in front of the Immortals, the celestial court burst into cheers. This was a Qi Path mystic realm of heaven and earth. Spoils of war comparable to rank 9 Immortal goo. Qi ancestor was able to activate the killer move Hu elevation because the core was Hulan. Secluded domains of heaven and earth were hard to destroy, they were easier to obtain than Immortal goo. Since Star Constellation Immortal Venerable could suppress Qi ancestor's Immortal goo, it was only natural that she obtained Hulan. With this secluded domain of heaven and earth, even if Master did not leave any rank 9 Immortal goo in Primordial Origin's secret treasury, he can use his Qi Path abilities. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable was satisfied, but she did not forget to inspect these Immortal goo and the secluded domain of heaven and earth. Fang Yuan was vigilant, but she was also extremely vigilant. Even in the celestial court, she did not have any carelessness. After using all her methods to inspect over 100 times, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable confirmed that these Immortal goo and the secluded domain of heaven and earth had no problems. Finally, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable placed these spoils of war into the Immortal formation to suppress them. This was the final precaution. Fang Yuan was a refinement path Venerable after all. He might have some methods that Star Constellation Immortal Venerable could not see through. But if these spoils of war were suppressed in the Immortal formation, even if Fang Yuan's methods were activated, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable would sense it immediately and have enough time to counterattack. Even if I cannot see through Fang Yuan's methods, they are definitely not powerful and can be suppressed by the Immortal formation alone. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable was very confident in this aspect. She had even transacted Immortal goo with Fang Yuan indirectly through He Feng Yang. Was she not afraid that Fang Yuan would tamper with the Immortal goo? Of course she had such concerns. But this concern was small. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable was confident that she could see through Fang Yuan's tricks. If it were any other Venerable, like Giant Sun Immortal, they would also have such confidence. This was not baseless confidence. Refinement path was simply too widespread. The advantage was that refinement path was developed too well. Many refinement path goo worms had the qualifications to advance to rank 9. But the disadvantage was that everyone knew refinement path and understood refinement path. Celestial Court had been operating for over 3 million years. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable was a wisdom path Venerable. How could she not know the refinement method of fake goo? In the Mortal Goo Master world, such fakes were common. If Fang Yuan directly created fake goo, even if Star Constellation Immortal Venerable did not know refinement path, she would be able to see through it. Of course, if Fang Yuan was given enough time to develop, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable would not dare to take the risk in this aspect. She would be extremely vigilant towards the Immortal goo that Fang Yuan had. After Qi ancestors Immortal goo and Hulan were taken out, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable took out some resource points from Qi's Immortal Aperture. Most of the Qi Path resource points in Qi's Immortal Aperture were kept. The resource points that were moved out had one similarity: they had a lot of non-Qi Path Dao marks. After doing this, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable activated her killer moves. She created these Wisdom Path killer moves secretly. No one knew about them other than her. After more than 10 killer moves were used, Qi ancestors' Immortal Aperture and mind crumbled. All sorts of Qi Path resource points and his entire body turned back into Qi currents. A huge amount of Qi currents gathered together, forming the vague shape of the Qi harvest fruit. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's eyes shined with the light of wisdom. She used 3 killer moves consecutively to get rid of Qi ancestors' will, thoughts and remnant emotions contained in the Qi harvest fruit. Qi Si ancestor's soul was taken out and imprisoned in the Immortal Gu House Soul Suppression Hall. This Immortal Gu House had once imprisoned spectral soul demon Venerable. It was a waste to imprison a Qi Si soul. The Qi harvest fruit started to stabilize. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable stopped using all sorts of wisdom path methods. She carefully moved Star Constellation chessboard away. Without Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's help, the Qi harvest fruit became clearer and more stable. After inspecting it for a while, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable relaxed a little. Like she expected, the Qi harvest fruit was already connected to Primordial Origin's method. Her external help was no longer needed. She could not continue to interfere in case her good intentions led to bad results. After all, there were conflicting Tao marks. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable cultivated Wisdom Path and Star Path, not Qi Path. The best way was for Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable to continue using his method and revive on his own. It has been 3 million years, but Lord Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable's method is still effective. This is truly admirable. It's done. Lord Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable's revival is just around the corner. It was my fault. Qin Dingling, who had just revived, had an ashamed expression. If I had not been foolish and lured Qi Si ancestor here to harvest the Celestial Court's Qi harvest fruit, Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable would have been the first Venerable to revive. The Immortals consoled her. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable also glanced over. Qin Dingling, don't blame yourself too much. You are not a Wisdom Path Gu Immortal. Fang Yuan is crafty and sly. He had deceived everyone in the world. It is normal that you could not deduce Qi Si ancestor's true identity. Even I can make mistakes. Knowing your mistakes is the best way to change for the better. We should learn from our mistakes and work hard to move forward. That is what we should do. We will remember Immortal Venerable's advice. The Immortals replied in unison with solemn expressions. The Qi harvest fruit soon grew to the size of a mountain. Qi Si ancestor's Qi Path foundation was transformed into the Qi harvest fruit. The stabilized Qi harvest fruit was even larger than the one that Fang Yuan had transformed earlier. As time passed, the Qi harvest fruit continued to grow. If it were in the past, the Celestial Court Immortals would be even more terrified. But now, the Immortals looked at the Qi harvest fruit with anticipation. Primordial Origin's revival process, which was interrupted by Fang Yuan, was continued by Star Constellation Immortal Venerable. But not long after, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable frowned slightly. She acutely sensed that the Qi harvest fruit's growth was slowing down. There seems to be something wrong. She hurriedly checked. The entire investigation process was done very carefully. 2 forceful investigative killer moves would affect Primordial Origin's revival process. The Celestial Court's Wisdom Path Tao marks that she refined were of great help to her. Soon, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable found out the reason. Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable left behind many methods in the Celestial Court. Most of them were related to revival. For example, the Primordial Qi Wall. Master's plan should be to perfectly use the Qi harvest fruit produced by the Qi tides to revive himself. The Qi path methods set up in the Celestial Court are the backup. When the Qi harvest fruit is slightly lacking, these Qi path methods will be used to replenish the Qi harvest fruit. However, because of the previous battles, these Qi path methods were greatly damaged, causing the current Qi harvest fruit's growth to be lacking. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable did not know how to make these Qi path methods return to their original state. But after thinking for a while, she thought of an ingenious way to avoid it. After all, the ultimate goal of these Qi path methods was to provide the Qi harvest fruit. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable immediately ordered for all the Qi path immortal materials in the Celestial Court's treasury to be deduced. Not long after, she obtained a Qi path immortal formation with a pale expression and sweat all over her body. The foundation of a Qi path immortal formation was Primordial Origin's Qi path methods. The immortal formation was soon completed under Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's personal arrangements. Next, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable placed a large number of Qi path immortal materials into the immortal formation. The immortal formation activated. The Qi path immortal formation was crushed. It was first turned back into Qi currents before being compressed into one stream that was injected into the channel of Primordial Origin's Qi path reverse-filling Qi harvest fruit. With this help, the Qi harvest fruit grew rapidly again. However, good times did not last. The Qi path immortal materials in the Celestial Court were expended too quickly. They were about to run out soon. Chapter 2361. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's expression dimmed slightly when she saw that she did not have enough Qi path immortal materials. Celestial Court's foundation was also going to be depleted one day. In fact, she had already used up almost all of Celestial Court's star path true inheritances when she set up the Starry Sky Calculation Formation and nurtured the immemorial star beasts. Recently, Celestial Court's members had been reviving frequently. The remaining Immortal graveyard was only left with 1 to 2 acres of land. It could no longer support the revival of any Gu Immortals. Celestial Court had been operating for over 3 million years. It had an extremely deep foundation, but after many battles, it suffered heavy losses. When Spectral Soul Demon Venerable escaped Celestial Court, he turned the entire Immortal treasury upside down. Afterwards, Celestial Court had no choice but to open the treasury. It even secretly took out the 10 great ancient sects' treasuries. After persisting until now, Celestial Court's foundation was becoming more and more depleted. Of course, the main reason for this was because of the huge expenditure of immortal materials. In Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable's original plan, the Chi Harvest Fruit's growth was mainly to absorb Chi tides. The Chi Path methods he set up were only a backup to prevent any accidents and make it perfect. Chi tides were the main contributor to the Chi Harvest Fruit. But now that the Chi tides were gone, the Chi Path methods were also damaged. Chi Path immortal materials became the main source of income. Evidently, the more Chi Path immortal materials were consumed, the larger the Chi Harvest Fruit, the stronger the revived Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable would be. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable started to deduce again. She used her full strength again. Thoughts collided in her mind countless times, to the point where she was having a headache. She deduced a killer move again. After some testing, the killer move was slightly modified. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's aura was unstable. Her expression was pale as she opened her Immortal Aperture's entrance. Before the other Venerables could react, she activated her killer move. Celestial Court's entrance was shrouded in a layer of profound light. It started to absorb the outside world's heaven and earth chi. Heaven and earth chi were huge. They surged endlessly, passing through the profound light of the entrance and entering the immortal formation. Heaven and earth chi relied on quantity to win. With such an abundant supply, the Chi Harvest Fruit no longer had to worry. Celestial Court's immortals were shocked. They discussed among themselves. Why did Lady Star Constellation Immortal Venerable suddenly open Celestial Court's entrance? This is a good thing. The stronger the Chi Harvest Fruit, the stronger Lord Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable's Chi Path Foundation will be when he revives. What if Fang Yuan takes the opportunity to attack? Haha, when he tried to fight before, he was no match for my Lord Star Constellation's divine might. Do you still dare to come? As expected, Fang Yuan did not come. Not just that, Spectral Soul Demon Venerable was not attracted here either. He wreaked havoc in Jianghu State, slaughtering hundreds of millions of living beings. His injuries recovered greatly. The soul mist surged violently. Wherever it went, the green mountains turned into stone mountains, the plants withered, and the corpses of wild beasts littered the ground. The soul howled and raised huge waves on the surface of the river. After the waves subsided, the surface of the water was densely packed with the corpses of fishes, prawns, turtles, snakes and so on. A vast number of souls were devoured by Spectral Soul Demon Venerable. He was like a huge black hole that slaughtered. The injuries on his body healed rapidly. His body grew again. During this process, a wild immortal Gu appeared in Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's body. Rank 8 Immortal Gu kill. This commotion attracted Fang Yuan, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, and Giant Sun Immortal's attention. At once, the three Venerables had different expressions. They all knew of a secret of the past. In the past, Spectral Soul wanted to create Killing Path, but after devouring Black Heavenly Spirit, he failed and created Soul Path instead. But who could have thought that when he was in a daze he would show signs of creating Killing Path? Immortal Gu Kill was clearly the core Immortal Gu of Killing Path. It was not formed so easily. This was the Heavenly Tao Refining Gu. And most importantly, it was formed in Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's body. This meant that even though Spectral Soul Demon Venerable was in a daze, he was getting closer to creating Killing Path. Killing Path is showing signs of being created. Giant Sun Immortal had already flown back to Northern Plains. He immediately ordered the Huangjin tribe's Gu Immortals who were going to Central Continent not to get close to Spectral Soul Demon Venerable. They were also not to go after the Super Resource Points, in case they encountered Heaven Refining Demon Venerable. Giant Sun Immortal did not go to Central Continent's resource points personally, but he did not give up. He sent his bloodline descendants. This way, even if the Celestial Court pursued the matter in the future, Giant Sun Immortal would still have a chance to salvage the situation. Giant Sun, if you cooperate with me, I am willing to split the central continent resource points that I obtain with you. Fang Yuan was still transmitting. He did not give up on convincing Giant Sun Immortal. Giant Sun Immortal's tone of rejection became even more resolute. On one hand, he felt that Star Constellation Immortal Venerable would not reveal any flaws. This battle was already decided. It was not worth it to cooperate with Fang Yuan. On the other hand, he knew his own difficulties. Firstly, his eldest son, Emperor Light, was captured and taken away by Yu Tianguang in Longevity Heaven. He needed to find his eldest son. Secondly, Giant Sun Immortal had used the Luck Path Killer move all living beings of the world twice. This move had a huge flaw. It would weaken Giant Sun Immortal for a period of time. Giant Sun Immortal needed to conceal himself and get through this period of weakness. If this flaw was exposed, the value of the killer move all living beings of the world would fall sharply in the future. Celestial Court. The Qi harvest fruit continued to grow. A huge amount of heaven and earth Qi, countless Qi path immortal materials, primordial Qi wall, and other methods were converted into Qi path Dao marks and added to the Qi harvest fruit. At the center of this Qi harvest fruit was a human-shaped fruit core. As time passed, the fruit core's appearance became clearer. It looked more and more like a human. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable saw this and immediately realized that Primordial Origin's revival method contained the profundity of human path. To think that Master's human path attainment is much higher than I expected. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable smiled lightly. A scene from her memories surfaced in her mind. On the sickbed, Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable suddenly coughed out blood. Master, what's wrong? Star Constellation quickly rushed over and used her methods to heal Primordial Origin. Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable had just resisted a chaotic disaster and repaired the hole in the world. He was heavily injured and could not get up. Star Constellation used all her strength to help Primordial Origin stabilize his injuries. She had a surprised expression as she found that Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable's injuries were self-inflicted. Star Constellation frowned deeply. Master, you are injured to this extent, lying on the bed and unable to even walk. You are still taking the risk to create your own killer move. Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable, however, had a joyful expression. These injuries are nothing. I have already succeeded, my disciple. I grasped that inspiration and created a human path killer move. Using this move, we can use the Immortal Aperture to extend the lifespan of Gu Immortals. Among all the lifespan extension methods currently available, this method has the best effect. Star Constellation pondered over the killer move's contents before showing a shocked expression. Her eyes shined as she realized the true value of this killer move. Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable laughed heartily. With this method, we no longer need to force human Gu Immortal experts to join our celestial court. The temptation of extending lifespan is not small. From now on, as long as they contribute immortal apertures to Celestial Court, they will become a member of Celestial Court and enjoy the lifespan extension benefits of this human path killer move. Star Constellation nodded with joy on her face. Master, what name did you give this killer move? Cough cough cough. Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable coughed a few times before saying nonchalantly, the name is not important. Give me an idea, I will name it however I want. Star Constellation quickly said yes, she loved giving names the most. She added, this name has to be loud and eye-catching. The more attention it attracts, the better. Let me think about it. My good disciple, go and think of a good name. I'm old, I can't think straight anymore. After you think about it, tell me. Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable lay on his bed as he waved his hand at Star Constellation. Star Constellation nodded before saying with a solemn expression, Master, don't act recklessly. Your injuries are very severe. Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable laughed loudly. These injuries are far from my limit. I've suffered even more serious injuries. You know it too. At least 5 times I've suffered even more serious injuries than this. Star Constellation stared. But you are already 25,000 years old, you should accept your old age. You have already done enough for the entire human race. Since you are injured, you should recuperate. I will take charge of the Celestial Court. Aha, with you here, why would I be worried? Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable laughed loudly before stopping, showing a desolate expression. Maybe I should also accept my old age. You won't? Star Constellation shook her head, showing an expression of, I have already seen through this old man, but I can't do anything about it. Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable was tickled by Star Constellation's expression. Before Star Constellation left, he even winked mischievously. Star Constellation told Primordial Origin to recuperate. so she took charge of the affairs of the celestial court. In her free time she thought about the names of human path killer moves to relax. Star Constellation busied herself for 3 days thinking about the names of human path killer moves, before finally getting some results. But she did not know at that time that she would no longer have the chance to tell Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable about this name. When she finally managed to free herself from the complicated affairs and went to visit Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable, she saw Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable lying quietly on his bed. His eyes were closed, he had a calm expression, but there was a hint of a smile on his lips. This leader of humanity, the first-generation immortal king of the celestial court, the legend who single-handedly raised the banner of humanity's counterattack and forced the variant humans of the world to retreat in defeat, was gone. He left calmly. He left calmly. He left with peace of mind. The main reason why he could be at ease was because of his disciple. The moment Star Constellation saw Primordial Origin, she understood. Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable's injuries were very severe, he was only hiding it. He was considering the big picture. After all, even though the variant humans retreated from Central Continent, they were still rampant in the other 4 regions. Even in Central Continent, many variant human forces were holed up in their blessed lands and grotto heavens. It was hard to find them. He knew that his injuries were incurable. He used the last bit of his strength to create a human path killer move, to protect the future development of the Celestial Court. Star Constellation stood in front of Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable's bed. She was silent for a long time. Finally she spoke in a hoarse voice, "Master, I thought of the name of this human path killer move. It is very suitable for this situation. It is called Above the Bed." The killer move above the bed could use the immortal aperture that the Gu Immortal contributed to the Celestial Court to form a bed. It could avoid the Gu Immortal's calamities and tribulations. It could also greatly extend their lifespan. At that time this was the best lifespan extension method other than lifespan Gu. After that, Star Constellation created a human path killer move based on this move. It was called Other Person's Deep Sleep. The killer move Other Person's Deep Sleep could allow the members of the Celestial Court who had the effect of above the bed to fall into a deep sleep, reducing their life force and even the flow of time to a minimum. At the same time, the Gu Immortals could be extracted and transformed into human nature. It could be used to help Star Constellation Immortal Venerable resist Providence after she fused with the Tao. In the final moments of Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable's life, even though he was lying on his bed, he was still thinking about the Celestial Court and humanity. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable was the same. To protect the Celestial Court, she was willing to sacrifice herself and fuse with the Tao. This master and disciple pair could be said to be of the same origin. And above the bed, Other Person's Deep Sleep, was the source of the Celestial Court's immortal graveyard. Inside the Chi Harvest fruit, the human-shaped fruit core had already grown to the size of a normal adult. The skin of the Chi Harvest fruit had also undergone a mystical change. It turned into layers of primordial Chi walls, wrapping around the human-shaped fruit core. Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable's revival was nearing its end. The methods he used during this process made even Star Constellation Immortal Venerable feel amazed. She praised Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable's exquisite Chi path methods in private. As time passed, a vast aura gradually seeped out of the Chi Harvest fruit. Heaven and Earth Chi path immortal materials, and other Chi path Tao marks continued to accumulate on the Chi Harvest fruit core. The human-shaped Chi fruit core already had Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable's appearance. Many Central Continent Gu Immortals were already kneeling on the ground. The members of the Celestial Court had tears in their eyes. They were inwardly excited. He was the first venerable in the world, he was the progenitor of all venerables, he also had the longest lifespan among all venerables. Without him, humanity would not have its current status. He was the founder of humanity's rise. He was the creator of Chi Path. He had left behind countless killer moves in his life. Primordial Chi walls, above the bed, and other methods protected the Celestial Court. He did not know how many mutant experts he had defeated, how many injuries he had suffered, and how many times he had bled. He built Emperor City. This was the embryonic form of Divine Emperor City. He was the first to contribute his immortal aperture. He gave up on building a clan. He went to recruit disciples and set an example for Central Continent's sect system. He worked hard, he racked his brains, he devoted almost his entire life to the Celestial Court and humanity. Even the variant humans who hated him to the bone had to admit his greatness. He was Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable. And now he was about to return. The Chi Harvest fruit started to shake. A grand aura leaked out, creating rumbling air currents. The entrance of the celestial court's immortal aperture opened, this aura leaked out. At once, chi currents in spectral heaven fluctuated, some swept over, some surged like tides, and some formed all sorts of chi whirlpools. A phenomenon occurred, the 5 regions shook. Primordial origin Immortal Venerable's revival was close at hand. Finally, star constellation Immortal Venerable breathed in deeply, she half knelt on the ground and said, "Disciple welcomes Master." Northern Plains. Giant Sun Immortal, who was searching for traces, sighed. The outcome was set. Feng Yuan, however, looked at the celestial court with a frown. He had a look of anticipation. At the next moment, boom! Primordial origin Immortal Venerable exploded. Northern Plains. Giant Sun Immortal stood on the spot, looking at the direction of the celestial court with a shocked expression. But Feng Yuan smiled lightly. Chapter 2362. At present, the typos and bugs in 329 to 361 had been corrected. Among them, the main bugs were that Fang Jing had the memory of the immortal formation. Congratulations to the new leader of this month. They were Feng Wei Hong Xian, laughter to sorrow, anger to madness, and a horse treads on the Yellow River. Thank you to the readers who strongly supported the Venerable Gu team in the 515 event. Hong Xian, Shadow Moon, Desolate Year, Long Enough, The Dead Living, Nashel, Coconut 943, Colorful Number 2, Just Enough, Praise Ue like Jade Goldhouse, Reality Charm Life, Chen Fu, Su Bai, Flame Amp, Ancestor, and the support of many readers. It is because of everyone's efforts that our Venerable Gu team rushed to the top 10 of this fan event. Who knew how many readers and friends received the title of Gu Immortal? Today's chapter was a 4,000-word chapter, and it was also the turning point of Feng Yuan's battle with the Celestial Court. Next, Feng Yuan would kill his way to the Celestial Court. After 7 years, Feng Yuan had finally reached this step. It was not easy. The book, Venerable Gu, had officially come to an end. It was certain that this book would be finished in a few months. Looking back on Feng Yuan's journey, there were too many hardships, too many lowly positions, too many dangers, and too many schemes. However, he persisted step by step and reached this point today. For 7 years we have walked this path together. The Venerable Gu Jinren would like to thank everyone for their company along the way and also appeal to everyone to subscribe to the original edition and accompany Feng Yuan to the peak. Please support the original edition as much as possible. Every original subscription is very important. Thank the society. Thank the country, thank the party, and thank Chidian Chinese Network. Thank the readers and many die-hard fans for their strong support. Cherish it as you go. Let us walk this last part of the road together. Chapter 2363. This huge explosion came too suddenly and happened too violently. At once, winds and clouds surged, the world changed color. Celestial court shattered. Large numbers of grotto heaven fragments flew everywhere like a volcano eruption. Only half of the immortal aperture's entrance was left, there were huge holes and holes everywhere, it was exposed in spectral heaven. Dust and smoke billowed, the scene inside celestial court could not be seen clearly. Countless Gu immortals died. But one thing was certain, the mountain-like chi harvest fruit had already dissipated. Success. Central Continent. Feng Yuan looked towards celestial court as he let out a breath of air. Earlier, Feng Yuan had already thought about it for a long time. He was in a bad situation at that time, he was surrounded by danger. The sovereign immortal aperture's time flow was too fast. Feng Yuan needed to undergo tribulation. Even though he used the killer move Endless Future Trouble to delay the calamities and tribulations, the chaotic calamities could not be avoided using this move. Once Feng Yuan underwent tribulation, he would need to place the sovereign immortal aperture in spectral heaven and open his immortal aperture's entrance for some time. This would be a huge flaw. By then, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, Giant Sun Immortal and Spectral Soul Demon Venerable would definitely attack. Other than the danger of tribulation, Feng Yuan was also feeling hungry. This hunger came from the sovereign immortal body itself. The sovereign immortal body was transformed from the rank 9 sovereign immortal fetus Gu. Its weakness was that it had to devour the immortal aperture of a Gu immortal of the same cultivation level every once in a while. Feng Yuan was already a venerable now, he had to annex a rank 9 immortal aperture. These two dangers made Feng Yuan extremely worried. As the saying goes, a person without foresight will have immediate worries. Feng Yuan had foresight, he had already seen the future worries. Rather than letting these dangers arrive, he might as well start dealing with them now. Feng Yuan was not a passive person, he took the initiative to attack and gain the initiative to control the situation, this was what he liked to do. Feng Yuan knew one of primordial origin Immortal Venerable's revival methods. The reason was simple. Thieving Heaven's Secret. Back then, Fang Yuan used the Gu Immortal Seed to undergo immortal ascension. Using natural inspiration and thieving heavenly secret, he learned all of the secrets of the celestial court. He naturally knew about the profundities of primordial origin Immortal Venerable's revival method using Qi harvest fruits. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable did not know the details of the Qi harvest fruit revival. But Fang Yuan could get to the bottom of the celestial court at the same time. He had Qi Path Great Grandmaster Attainment level and Wisdom Gu to help him make deductions. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's arrangement in the starry sky calculation formation was extremely ingenious. It had to be linked with embroidered tower and star constellation chessboard to display its power and capture pseudo-venerables. This setup was so secretive that Fang Yuan did not know about it. But he did not need to guess to know that Star Constellation Immortal Venerable was definitely going to revive Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable. If they were in Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's shoes, anyone would choose to revive the two immortal kings of the celestial court first. It was difficult to do things openly but easy to do things secretly. Once Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's movements were captured, that would be a clear flaw. The celestial court had a deep foundation. It had 3 generations of immortal kings. This was the strongest point of the celestial court, but in Fang Yuan's opinion, it was also their weakest point. Thus, Fang Yuan thought of sacrificing Qi ancestor to let Star Constellation Immortal Venerable walk on the path of the Qi harvest fruit revival. Even if Qi ancestor was his clone, so what? For the sake of eternal life, what could he not sacrifice? How could Fang Yuan be willing to sacrifice himself for the greater good? Purposely sending Qi ancestor to revive Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable as bait, this plan had a high possibility of success. But he lacked an opportunity. Fang Yuan could not sacrifice himself openly. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable was the #1 person in Wisdom Path. Fang Yuan had experienced her many times in the past. Many of his plans were seen through by Star Constellation Immortal Venerable before they could be implemented. There was a clear example of this in Fang Clan. If he made it too obvious, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable would sense it and even make use of it to make Fang Yuan suffer a huge loss. The opportunity soon arrived. Undeniably, the timing of the Heaven Path Dream Realm's appearance was too good. For Fang Yuan, even though the Heaven Path Dream Realm itself could raise his Heaven Path attainment level, he was not in a hurry. As long as no one could use the Heaven Path Dream Realm effectively, he could continue to refine rank 9 Immortal Gu in secret and increase his strength, widening the gap between him and the other venerables. The longer he delayed, the stronger Fang Yuan would become. But fighting for the Heavenly Path Dream Realm was an excellent excuse. It could conceal Qi ancestor's scheme. Fang Yuan thought about it many times. He had to make a difficult choice. He could not make it too obvious. Everything had to be logical. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's wisdom was unfathomable. She was definitely an intelligent person. But this intelligence could sometimes be used by Fang Yuan. Thus, Fang Yuan sent Qi ancestor into the starry sky calculation formation without doing anything else. Next, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable helped Fang Yuan to complete Fang Yuan's arrangements and capture Qi ancestor. During the entire process, Qi ancestor was kept in the dark by Fang Yuan's main body. He did not know anything. Not just him, Wuxia and Jianghu were also the same. Just like how Star Constellation Immortal Venerable intentionally deceived the 5 immortals of the Celestial Court in order to obtain Lin Jianxing Sword Path Dao marks. But Fang Yuan was even more ruthless. He even deceived himself. It was not enough to give away the Qi clone. To appease Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, Fang Yuan gave her Qi Path Immortal Gu in Hu Land. So what if they were Qi Path Immortal Gu? As long as he could achieve his goal, Fang Yuan could even give her rank 9 Immortal Gu. Hu Land? What was a secluded domain of heaven and earth? As long as he could deceive Star Constellation Immortal Venerable for a while, not just a secluded domain of heaven and earth, Fang Yuan could even give her 2 or 3 secluded domains of heaven and earth. In Fang Yuan's eyes, all of the immortal Gu and secluded domains of heaven and earth, no matter how precious they were merely tools for him to pursue eternal life. Since they were tools, as long as there was value in sacrificing them, he would sacrifice them. Fang Yuan did not have the slightest hesitation towards this. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable only had a vague understanding of the Qi harvest fruit revival method. But Fang Yuan knew it very well. He was a refinement path venerable. He was proficient in revival methods. From the perspective of refinement path, Qi harvest fruit revival was nothing more than using the main immortal material, the Qi harvest fruit, together with Qi ancestors' arrangements in the celestial court to refine a new body and soul. Was there any difference between this and Gu refinement? There was no difference. Since that was the case, Fang Yuan had a lot of potential. He treated Qi ancestor as a Qi path immortal material and dealt with him in advance. Of course, Fang Yuan had already removed all of his memories from Qi ancestor's body. This was like how star constellation Immortal Venerable altered the memories of those Gu immortals who entered the derivation formation. Qi ancestor's entire body had problems, but these were the supreme profundities of refinement path. Star constellation Immortal Venerable could not find anything even after inspecting it many times. Star constellation Immortal Venerable also had refinement path attainment, but there were no problems with Qi ancestor. Only when he was used as an immortal material would there be problems during the Qi harvest fruit revival process. And as the revival continued to succeed, this problem would only get bigger. But Star Constellation Immortal Venerable did not have a complete understanding and control of the Qi harvest fruit revival process. This gave Fang Yuan a chance to make use of this loophole. The plan has succeeded, but the results will depend on the progress. Fang Yuan was not in a hurry to enter the celestial court. He continued to move around Central Continent, searching for resource points while contacting Giant Sun Immortal. Giant Sun, you are truly fortunate. There was a mistake in Primordial Origins revival, it destroyed the celestial court instead. This is the best opportunity for us to do so. If we miss this chance and allow the celestial court to recover, both of us will regret it for the rest of our lives. Giant Sun Immortal saw the celestial court explode. After the shock, he had the thought of attacking the celestial court. Now that he received Fang Yuan's message, his thoughts wavered. Giant Sun Immortal hesitated. Should I attack the celestial court now? Is this really a mistake in the celestial court? Isn't this Fang Yuan's doing? Giant Sun Immortal recalled Fang Yuan's mysterious defensive method. He could not see through Fang Yuan. If it was Fang Yuan's doing, it was possible. Strange, I inspected the celestial court earlier, why did I not notice such a huge change? Don't tell me Star Constellation Immortal Venerable concealed the celestial court's method to guard against my luck inspection? If that is the case, it is truly ironic. And the thing that made Giant Sun Immortal hesitate the most was Emperor Light, his eldest son, and the rank 9 Wild Light Gu in Emperor Light's immortal aperture. Emperor Light was kidnapped by the two legendary immemorial beasts, Yu Tianguang and Zui Hui. If Giant Sun Immortal did not rescue him, his life might be in danger. Of course, Giant Sun Immortal was also thinking about his blood sea. Since he could revive Emperor Light once, he could revive him a second time. This Giant Sun is still hesitating, did he sense something? Fang Yuan saw that Giant Sun Immortal did not make a move, he tried to think about it. Fang Yuan did not know that Giant Sun Immortal tricked his eldest son, he also did not know about the weakness of the killer move all beings, world, self-centered. But he soon thought of a reason. After the explosion, Celestial Court's losses cannot be estimated. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's injuries are also unknown. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable has a huge advantage in Celestial Court, her injuries are not heavy, but she is still a huge threat. This might be Giant Sun Immortal's consideration. In his opinion, my Qi clone was captured, Celestial Court suddenly exploded, Primordial Origins revival failed, I am the biggest suspect. At the same time, I should be the most nervous person. Because I do not have a base, if the two venerables of Celestial Court gather, my situation will be the worst. Giant Sun Immortal said that the situation is unclear, he is hinting to me to attack Celestial Court first. If Celestial Court falls into a disadvantage, he will definitely come and take a share of the loot. Giant Sun Immortal did not make a move, he decided to wait and see, this caused Fang Yuan's plan to fail again. In fact, rashly attacking Celestial Court at this time was indeed risky. Because even Fang Yuan did not know how serious Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's injuries were. But since Fang Yuan schemed to this point, how could he not have a backup plan? He turned his gaze towards Spectral Soul Demon Venerable who was 10,000 li away. After this period of slaughter, his injuries had recovered by more than half. This is the best choice. Fang Yuan smiled as he activated his method. Totem killer moves flew out one after another, provoking Spectral Soul Demon Venerable, successfully luring the confused Spectral Soul Demon Venerable into Celestial Court. Chapter 2364. With a light snort, Zhao Lianyun woke up in a pile of rubble. Qi currents were rumbling in front of her, it was a vast expanse of whiteness that seemed to cover the sky. Her ears were buzzing and she felt dizzy. What happened to me? Zhao Lianyun breathed roughly as she inspected her body. She was originally wearing a white palace dress, her skin was snow white and her teeth were white, she was pure and fresh like a lily. But now, her face was black, her white dress was torn and could barely be worn, she was like a refugee in a famine, she was in a sorry state. After inspecting herself, Zhao Lianyun found that she was mostly unharmed, but she had no strength left in her body was soft and her heart was weak. What in the world happened? How did I become like this? Primordial Origin's explosion was too sudden and intense. Zhao Lianyun was dazed from the explosion, she almost lost her memories for a moment. But soon Zhao Lianyun felt her dizziness weakening, she recalled. It was a terrifying explosion. Her pupils shrunk, she would never forget this scene in her life. It was too terrifying. A moment ago, she and the Gu immortals around her were looking at the mountain-like Qi harvest fruit excitedly, they were looking forward to Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable's revival. But at the next moment, Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable exploded. Among all the Gu immortals who were looking up with anticipation, Zhao Lianyun was at the periphery of the crowd, but she was still affected by the explosion. This explosion was too intense, the whole of Celestial Court was destroyed, Zhao Lianyun could not escape. Why did it suddenly explode? As her memories became clearer, Zhao Lianyun's breathing became rough. Unbelievable, I'm almost unharmed. Is it because Love Gu protected me? Wait, I need to save someone. Zhao Lianyun's heart jumped, she thought of what she had to do now. She might be protected by Love Gu, but the others did not have such a rank 9 immortal Gu. Zhao Lianyun quickly set off, entering the vast expanse of white Qi currents to search for the Gu immortals who were in trouble. Before the explosion, the Gu immortals of Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects were at the periphery, looking at the Qi harvest fruit in groups of 2 or 3. The inner circle consisted of the members of the Celestial Court. Zhao Lianyun tried many investigative methods but none of them worked. The white gas was probably the residue of the Qi harvest fruit, and the aftereffects of the explosion. It was filled with Qi path Dao marks, it was not strange that a mere rank 6 Gu immortal like Zhao Lianyun could not inspect it. Unless she could use Love Gu. But Love Gu was not only a rank 9 immortal Gu, it was very special. Even venerables could not refine it, even though it belonged to Wisdom Path, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable had yet to touch it. Instead he allowed the Love Gu to live on Zhao Lianyun's body. Zhao Lianyun did not refine Love Gu, but obtained its recognition. Thus, he could not use Love Gu as he wished, sometimes when he wanted it to attack, it would bring Zhao Lianyun away. Zhao Lianyun wanted to protect herself, but it healed her instead. And every time Love Gu showed off, it would take away something from Zhao Lianyun's body. Sometimes even their lifespans. Zhao Lianyun entered the surging white gas, using her memories to search for the location with difficulty. A moment later she cried out in shock, finding Bu Zhenzi. When the explosion occurred, Bu Zhenzi was standing beside Zhao Lianyun talking to her. But after the explosion the two were sent flying, they were no longer on the spot. But Zhao Lianyun was still the first to find Bu Zhenzi. Bu Zhenzi's injuries were terrifying. Half of his body had been blown up, leaving only fragile bones that barely protected his internal organs. And only 2 of these organs were left, the rest were turned into mush. Meanwhile, the other half of Bu Zhenzi's body had turned phantom. His arms, chest, organs and others seemed to be drawn by translucent threads, they were in a stable state. Zhao Lianyun wanted to save him, but found that she was helpless. Bu Zhenzi's injuries were too severe. Losing half of his body was not a big deal, not to mention the Celestial Court Spirit Affinity House had many methods to regrow his bones, organs, flesh and blood. But most importantly, a large number of Qi Path Dao marks were engraved on Bu Zhenzi's body. The remaining half of his body was emitting white gas. Along with the white gas, the remaining bones and organs were turning into Qi and disappearing. Bu Zhenzi's life was hanging on the other half of his body that had turned phantom. When the explosion occurred, Bu Zhenzi used a phantom method. But even with a phantom method supported by a mini-invincible, he could not avoid the heaven-shaking Qi explosion. Zhao Lianyun deduced the situation at that time, she sighed deeply, her brows were furrowed with worry. Bu Zhenzi's phantom half of his body was hanging on to his life, but it could not last for long. His phantom body was also covered in Qi Path Dao marks, it was also turning into Qi and disappearing. Bu Zhenzi cannot last for long. Zhao Lianyun was helpless, she was getting more and more anxious. She tried to wake Bu Zhenzi up, but he did not wake up. Zhao Lianyun could not even move Bu Zhenzi, she was afraid that he would die. She could only give up on Bu Zhenzi for now, she remembered the location and went into the vast Qi currents to look for help. Is anyone here? Come and help me. Zhao Lianyun moved in the vast white qi currents. She called out continuously. Alone, an intense sense of loneliness and helplessness shrouded her whole body. Even now she could not believe it. When she had just arrived at Celestial Court, she looked at the grand Celestial Court with its many buildings. She felt admiration from the bottom of her heart. Celestial Court's deep foundation and long history made her feel insignificant, but at the same time she felt an intense sense of security. And when she saw Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable revive step by step, she felt that Celestial Court would rise again. But next, Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable exploded. The change was too sudden, too intense. What happened? Did Fang Yuan or other venerables attack? What are the losses of Celestial Court? Is anyone here to help me? At least reply to me. Zhao Lianyun's footsteps suddenly stopped. There was a strong suction force in front of her. A large amount of the surrounding white qi currents were being sucked away. Zhao Lianyun barely stabilized her body as she got closer. The suction force was also weakening rapidly. Zhao Lianyun arrived at the source. Her pupils shrunk as she saw an Immortal Aperture's entrance. The Immortal Aperture's entrance was open. It was absorbing the surging white qi outside, stabilizing and forming a blessed land. Zhao Lianyun stood in front of the Immortal Aperture's entrance in a daze, not moving at all. She saw the scene inside the entrance. There was a river and a flowering tree. Due to the turbulence of the qi currents, flower petals fell from the tree branches and landed on the river surface, drifting along with the current. Carps often appeared in the river to devour the flower petals. This was the scene of Lady Lu Fang's Immortal Aperture. It was extremely beautiful and priceless. It was very famous in Spirit Affinity House. Lady Lu Fang was in charge of Secret Inheritance Peak. She was a neutral supreme elder of Spirit Affinity House. Zhao Lianyun remembered that when she first entered Secret Inheritance Peak, Lady Lu Fang did not personally receive her as per usual. After all, she was the current generation fairy of Spirit Affinity House. Afterwards, Zhao Lianyun and Lady Lu Fang's relationship was not good. Even though their relationship was cold, Zhao Lianyun's eyes turned red when she saw this Immortal Aperture's entrance. She felt an intense sadness in her heart. That Lady Lu Fang was killed in the explosion. Even though she had rank 7 cultivation level, she did not have powerful methods to protect herself like Phantom Path, nor did she have Love Gu. She was completely destroyed. Her Immortal Aperture landed in Celestial Court. Because Celestial Court was filled with providence and lacked heavenly spirit, Lu Fang blessed land absorbed the heaven and earth qi of the outside world, stabilizing itself and forming a blessed land. Zhao Lianyun forcibly restrained her emotions and continued to look for reinforcements. Along the way she created many more Immortal Aperture entrances and was absorbing heaven and earth qi. The casualties were too severe. Not mentioning the members of Celestial Court, each of Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects has more than 10 Gu Immortals. Excluding those who were captured by the Starry Sky Calculation Formation, there are more than 100 Gu Immortals from the 10 great sects in Celestial Court. And with this explosion, 80% of the Gu Immortals were killed. Zhao Lianyun calculated and felt a chill in her heart. Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects had many Gu Immortals. Before the 5 regions merged, Crane Gate had 12 Gu Immortals. Crane Gate was one of the weaker sects among the 10 great ancient sections. After the 5 regions merged, the earth veins moved and qi surged, countless immortal materials were produced. This greatly increased the strength of the Gu Immortals in the sect, and the foundation of the Gu Immortal seeds became even stronger. During the Immortal Ascension Tide, the 10 great ancient sects had Gu Immortal seeds who successfully ascended to Immortal Realm. Not only that, there were also those they recruited from other sections. For example, Heavenly Lotus Sect's Supreme Elder Wu Zhang recruited 5 Virtue sects with Virtue Elder Mu Huai. The latter succeeded in his Immortal Ascension and was also a higher-up of 5 Virtue sect, which was created by Wu Zhang. He had the qualifications to join Heavenly Lotus Sect. This was the advantage of Central Continent's sect system. Previously, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable protected Primordial Origin's revival with all her might. To prevent Fang Yuan from taking revenge, she took the initiative to recruit all the elites of Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects into Celestial Court. But who could have thought that Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable would be killed by Fang Yuan? This time, most of Central Continent's Gu Immortals were killed. The backbone of Central Continent's righteous path collapsed. Such a severe loss made Zhao Lianyun's limbs go soft. It's over, Central Continent is finished. Maybe Celestial Court can revive them? This was Zhao Lianyun's only consolation. But she was not stupid. The more she thought about it, the more she felt that this explosion was filled with the aura of a scheme. Central Continent had been set up. Celestial Court had suffered a calamity. Star constellation Immortal Venerable had also been schemed against. Even though Zhao Lianyun had rank 9 Love Gu, her current cultivation level was merely rank 6. What could she do? She could only ask for help and shout for help. Zhao Lianyun walked slower and slower. At this moment she realized how weak she was. Don't be dejected, fairy of the current generation, Spirit Affinity House. Celestial Court is still here, we are still here. Right at this time, a lantern lit up in the vast white chi. The lantern was not bright, but it was very stubborn. It walked out of the white chi and arrived in front of Zhao Lianyun. This was an old Gu immortal, his body was covered in blood. One of his arms was blown away, his remaining hand was holding up the candle flame. Zhao Lianyun recognized him, it was Crane Gate's Kanyang Laojun. Chapter 2365. Kanyang Laojun was a famous expert in Central Continent, he had been famous since a long time ago. The moment Zhao Lianyun saw him, a series of information appeared in her mind. After she became the current generation fairy of Spirit Affinity House, because she could not undergo tribulation, her cultivation level could not rise, so she had to study other aspects. Thus, she had a deep understanding of all the people in Central Continent's Gu immortal world. Thus, Zhao Lianyun knew that Kanyang Laojun had Immortal Gu Remnant Candle, and created the immortal killer move Life-Chasing Fire. It was very powerful and famous in Central Continent. Kanyang Laojun had been very inactive in recent years, he had been living in seclusion. His biggest action was many years ago when he went with Feng Jioge to investigate the truth behind the collapse of 88 Jinyang Tower, and fought with Shadow Sect there. The latest news was that Kanyang Laojun had won against Jianghu. Jianghu was a Gu immortal of Black Heaven Temple. Even though he was not a famous expert, he had unique methods to counter fire. In the end he still lost to Kanyang Laojun, who cultivated Fire Path. Kanyang Laojun's lantern was weak, but it injected warmth into Zhao Lianyun's heart. Many people were like this, when they were alone they would be weak. But once they had someone of the same kind, even if this person could not help them, as long as they had companions, they would feel safe and warm. Zhao Lianyun had such a nature. She was an otherworldly demon, she was not a native of Gu world. Her nature had been nurtured long ago. This was also one of the reasons why she fell in love with Ma Hongyun after coming to the Gu world. Zhao Lianyun breathed in deeply, the dejected expression on her face disappeared as she asked Kanyang Laojun for help, telling him about Bu Zhenzi's situation. But Kanyang Laojun shook his head. I cultivate Fire Path, my understanding of Phantom Path is shallow, and I am not skilled in healing methods. I am unable to help. The moment he said that, Kanyang Laojun's body started to tremble visibly. His face quickly turned as white as a sheet. At the same time his body started to emit white gas, especially from the wound on his arm, which was cut off at the base. The white gas was the thickest. Cough cough cough. Kanyang Laojun could not stop coughing. With each cough he spat out a mouthful of blood. He spat out a mouthful of blood, which turned into white gas and quickly dissipated. Kanyang Laojun gritted his teeth and activated his technique. This situation lasted for more than 10 breaths before he was finally able to suppress his injuries. His face regained its color and he stopped coughing. His methods were only useful against himself or Fire Path Gu immortals, they were ineffective against Void Path Bu Zhenzi. In fact, it might even ruin things. Next, Kanyang Laojun and Zhao Lianyun traveled together. Along the way they saw even more immortal aperture entrances, almost all of them were wide open and absorbing white chi. They also saw the living. A giant ape fell to the ground like a half-collapsed hill. The ape's golden fur was shining like it was covered in golden armor, but now it was mostly black, like a defeated general whose golden armor had collapsed. His muscles were bulging and he looked majestic, but now he was lying on the ground, his body was covered in blood and flesh, his bones were exposed in many wounds, he could not even get up, he was paralyzed. The ape's large golden eyes were originally shining brightly, but now they were in a daze. After seeing Kanyang Laojun and Zhao Lianyun he focused a little. He is Immortal Monkey King Shirley of Combat Immortal Sect. He cultivates Earth Path and Transformation Path. The killer move he is using now is his signature move, Immortal Monkey King Wang Lei Mountain Transformation. Zhao Lianyun's heart shook, he immediately guessed the ape's true identity. Shirley was publicly recognized as the #1 expert among Central Continent rank 7 Gu immortals. His battle strength was even higher than Kanyang Laojun's. But he was closer to the center of the explosion than Kanyang Laojun. After the explosion he did not have time to activate Immortal Monkey King Wang Lei Mountain Transformation. This was a compound killer move of 2 immortal paths, it expended a lot of thoughts. Shirley did not have a wisdom path foundation, he needed a long time to activate this move. He had used other methods to survive the explosion, but his injuries were too severe to heal. He could only use this move to transform into an ancient desolate beast. Using the ancient desolate beast's body that far surpassed humans as well as its self-healing ability, he resisted the heavy injuries on his body, barely holding on. After seeing Kanyang Laojun and Zhao Lianyun, Shirley blinked his golden eyes as a greeting. He did not even dare to breathe heavily now, it would be bad if his injuries acted up. Evidently, Shirley could only barely protect himself, he could not help others. Cough, cough. Kanyang Laojun coughed again, vomiting blood. After a while he suppressed his injuries again. Zhao Lianyun and Kanyang Laojun continued their journey. Not long after they encountered Yang Feng. He was a rank 7 Gu Immortal from Ancient Soul Sect, he cultivated Transformation Path. He made the same choice as Shirley, he also transformed into an ancient desolate beast. However, the originally majestic giant wolf was now lying on the ground like a sick dog. However, his injuries were slightly lighter than Shirley's, and he could still speak a few words with Zhao Lianyun. It was not that he was stronger than Shirley, but the moment the explosion occurred, he subconsciously used his most familiar transformation killer move, turning into an ancient desolate beast. He cultivated Transformation Path, he was extremely familiar with this giant wolf transformation, it was as if it was carved into his bones. Moreover, this move was extremely fast, it could be used in an instant. The most severe injuries on my body are at my waist. If I exert any force, my waist will snap. After Yang Feng introduced his situation, he joined Zhao Lianyun and Kanyang Laojun's group. The three continued to search and found Vicious Lightning Fiend. Vicious Lightning Fiend also had rank 7 cultivation level, his body was covered in lightning as he floated in the air. 3 lightning deities were supporting him and healing him. During the healing, lightning crackled and flickered, it was a huge commotion. I was very lucky. The moment before the explosion, I was observing while controlling lightning deities to move around me, I wanted to leave a good impression on Lord Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable. After the explosion, only 4 lightning deities were left out of the dozen or so. In order to save his life, Vicious Lightning Fiend sacrificed another lightning deity to heal his injuries. Thus he only had 3 left now. To him this was an extremely disastrous loss. Lightning Deity is a killer move that Vicious Lightning Fiend created by referring to the remnant recipe of Blood Deity Immortal Gu. Chi tides surged, the 5 regions merged, immortal materials appeared, Vicious Lightning Fiend obtained the support of Myriad Dragon Dock. The number of lightning deities kept increasing. The dozen or so lightning deities all had rank 7 Gu Immortal battle strength. Thus Central Continent's Gu Immortal world thought that among Central Continent's rank 7 Gu Immortals, his battle strength was second only to Shirley. Zhao Lianyun recalled as he greeted Vicious Lightning Fiend. Vicious Lightning Fiend's temper was famous for being violent, but he was very polite to Zhao Lianyun right now. He saw that Zhao Lianyun's injuries were the lightest, he acknowledged her strength. This explosion killed most of the Central Continent Gu Immortals, the ones who survived besides having good luck also had strong battle strength. But the awkwardness was also because of this. Gu Immortals with strong battle strength usually did not specialize in healing. They were usually good at healing themselves, but they were not good at healing themselves. Thus, even though Vicious Lightning Fiend joined the group, they could not help Bu Zhenzi and Shirley who were left behind. As time passed, the vast white qi that filled the Immortals' vision was no longer as dense as before. These white qi were Qi Path Immortal materials, but the Immortals did not have the mood to collect them. The blessed lands and grotto heavens left behind by the Central Continent Gu Immortals were absorbing a large amount of white qi. At the same time, the white qi flowed out of the celestial court that was full of holes. In short, the Immortals' vision was expanding rapidly. Wait. Yang Feng, who had turned into a giant wolf and was about to stop to catch his breath after a few steps, suddenly spoke. The Immortals were used to it. Along the way, Yang Feng would stop every short distance and lie on the ground to recover his strength. His waist was the most heavily injured, the wound was so large that his kidney could even be seen from the wound. White qi was constantly coming out of his kidney. Yang Feng, is your waist hurting again? Zhao Lianyun looked at him with concern. Yang Feng nodded, of course my waist hurts, but more importantly, someone is coming from behind. Yes, there are quite a few of them, there are 3 of them. Kanyang Laojuan's expression changed as he sensed something. Cough cough. He had just said this when he started coughing again, vomiting blood. Are they our people? Vicious Lightning Fiend asked while his thoughts moved. The 3 lightning deities beside him quickly spread out and moved towards the back. Zhao Lianyun's group did not move, nervously looking at the surging white qi behind them. The three lightning deities were waiting in formation, but suddenly one spun on the spot, one flew into the sky, and the last twisted his waist, dancing crazily as if he was electrocuted. Chapter 2366. Zhao Lianyun and the rest looked at Vicious Lightning Fiend with shocked gazes. Vicious Lightning Fiend's face turned red as he explained, Lightning deity was heavily injured by the explosion, Qi Path Dao marks were carved in his body, he is hard to control. If I am careless he will go crazy. The immortals understood now. They had been nervous earlier, thinking that lightning deity was attacked by some method. After a few breaths of time, Kenyang Laojuan's expression relaxed. They are our people. Soon, 2 rank 8 Gu immortals appeared in front of everyone. They were the rank 8 supreme elders of Heaven's Envy Manor and Spirit Butterfly Valley. The immortals saw each other and showed joy on their faces. They were rank 8 Gu immortals after all. The 2 supreme elders had rich methods. They helped Yang Feng, Kenyang Laojun, and the rest to stabilize their injuries, but the effect was not great. The immortals were discussing how to continue the search and rescue when suddenly white qi surged, as if a blood-red giant beast was pushing them from behind. Next, a blurry blood figure appeared behind the white qi. This was a rank 8 immortal Gu house, Demon Judgment Board. Demon Judgment Board was controlled by Guyue Fangjing. It immediately stopped when it saw the immortals. Demon Judgment Board shot out rays of blood light that enveloped everyone like a pillar of light. The immortals did not resist, they allowed Guyue Fangjing to heal them. The immortals' injuries turned for the better, but they could not turn heavy injuries into light ones. Even though Demon Judgment Board was a rank 8 immortal Gu house, it was specialized in investigative methods. Its combat and healing abilities were lacking compared to its investigative methods. Guyue Fangjing thought about it. He said to the 10 children of human path inside the immortal Gu house, "The situation is terrible. I hope everyone can help in healing and searching. Lord Fangjing, please don't say that Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects are all subordinate sects of Celestial Court. They are the same source. We will definitely do our best to save them." The 10 children of human path quickly expressed. They were fortunate enough to avoid the explosion because they had entered Divine Emperor City beforehand. Previously, Divine Emperor City was attacked by Xianxia and Lu Weiyin, following which, it was promoted to the Celestial Court along with Fei He Mountain. He had no choice. If he stayed on the ground of Zhongzhou State, he would only be broken by Fang Yuan's real body. Genesis Lotus will control Divine Emperor City and was confident in resisting Xianxia and Lu Weiyin, but facing Fang Yuan alone was a different matter. Divine Emperor City was the sacred land of human path. It had large numbers of mortals and Gu masters. The world of murals was the best soil for the development of humanity. During this period of time there were many new results. The 10 children of human path had all become human path rank 6 Gu immortals. They received Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's orders to enter Divine Emperor City's painting world to further their cultivation. Meanwhile, Guyue Fangjing was dispatched by Star Constellation Immortal Venerable to enter Divine Emperor City. But he didn't comprehend the human Tao. Instead, he interacted with Genesis Lotus Will to comprehend the painting Tao. Guyue Fangjing had entered the derivation formation earlier and comprehended the essence of painting path. Thus, all sorts of blood path killer moves could be used through painting path and used by Demon Judgment Board. His battle strength rose sharply. This made Guyue Fangjing more interested in painting path. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable also saw his potential in painting path, thus she nurtured him generously. Even though Guyue Fangjing was from southern border because of Fang Yuan, he was favored and nurtured by many leaders of the Celestial Court like Qin Dingling and Star Constellation Immortal Venerable. His cultivation level and strength had been growing rapidly. The 10 children of human path felt admiration and closeness towards Fangjing. Fangjing's strength surpassed theirs. He was the current generation Demon Judgment Board Lord. Even though he only had rank 7 cultivation level, he was already a member of the Celestial Court and had many battle achievements. With his status and identity, he had always been a part of the 10 children of human path of the Celestial Court, thus they admired him. As for closeness, it was because Fangjing's age was the same as the 10 children of human path. They were of the same generation. Thus, after Fangjing made arrangements, the 10 children of human path accepted them happily. They flew out of Demon Judgment Board and helped Zhao Lianyun's group. It is truly fortunate that you juniors only have rank 6 cultivation level. Staying in Divine Emperor City will save your lives. This is the method of human path? It is truly wondrous. No wonder the Celestial Court is focusing on developing human path. Human path has endless potential. Kanyang Laojun and the rest naturally knew the identities of the 10 children of Human Path. Initially they still had the airs of seniors, but soon their expressions changed, their attitude changed as they gasped in surprise. Human Path was very unique. The healing methods of the 10 children of Human Path were all Human Path killer moves. They were very effective on Zhao Lianyun and the rest. Their injuries were severe to begin with. Even with the help of 2 rank 8 Gu Immortals and Demon Judgment Board's healing, they did not recover much, they only got better slightly. But now, with the effect of Human Path killer moves, their injuries changed rapidly. They were very effective now. Guyue Fangjing saw that the 10 children of Human Path took action and the injuries of the Immortals healed. He nodded and sent Demon Judgment Board to the inner area. Along the way they saw many Immortal aperture entrances. Guyue Fangjing had a solemn expression. He had a heavy heart and was very worried. Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects Gu Immortals suffered heavy casualties. Only 1 out of 10 survived. The Celestial Court's Immortal graveyard is almost depleted. How can they revive them? The current situation is unfathomable. The Qi harvest fruit self-detonation was too sudden. There seems to be a huge scheme behind it. I wonder how are the injuries of the seniors of Celestial Court. The most important thing is still Lady Star Constellation Immortal Venerable. Her current condition will determine the direction of Celestial Court and the world. Guyue Fangjing had gone through many trials and tribulations. He had developed a discerning eye towards the situation. The white qi in the inner area was much thicker than the outer area. Guyue Fangjing was anxious. Demon Judgment Board moved even faster under his control. Soon he saw the Immortals of Celestial Court. Fangjing's brows relaxed before frowning again. He found that most of the Gu Immortals of Celestial Court were still around, but a few were missing. He did not know if the missing Gu Immortals were alive or dead. The Immortals of Celestial Court were strong after all. There were more than 10 of them gathered here. They gathered around Qin Dingling. Fangjing quickly came out of Demon Judgment Board and greeted the Immortals. Qin Dingling nodded at him. She looked around and started to make arrangements. Her expression was haggard and cold. There were still traces of blood at the corner of her mouth. Her tone was subconsciously stern. The white qi obstructed the investigation. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable was missing. Qin Dingling immediately took up the responsibility of being the leader. After discussing with the Immortals, she split them into 3 groups. One group was led by Ruan Dan. They continued to search for the surviving Gu Immortals. At the same time, they gathered information and calculated the losses of Celestial Court. Another group was led by Duke Mei. They went deep into the center of the White Qi to visit Star Constellation Immortal Venerable. The final group was led by her. They included Che Wei, Wan Zihong, Red Heart Traveler, 9 Spiritual Fairy, these Gu Immortals with outstanding battle strength among the members of Celestial Court. Fangjing, because he had Demon Judgment Board, was also recruited by her. Her group's mission was to go out of Celestial Court and deal with the nearby enemies who might take the chance to invade. Master. Guyue Fangjing brought Red Heart Traveler into Demon Judgment Board with a respectful attitude. Let me heal your injuries. Red Heart Traveler nodded. He sat down cross-legged and floated in the air. Guyue Fangjing controlled Demon Judgment Board to fly out of Celestial Court while activating the board's methods to heal Red Heart Traveler. Red Heart Traveler's complexion was pale as paper, but with Guyue Fangjing's full help, his condition rapidly improved and his aura stabilized. He was a Blood Path Gu Immortal, the previous Board Lord of Demon Judgment Board. Guyue Fangjing also cultivated Blood Path. Their Dao marks did not conflict with each other, thus the healing effect was very good. While Red Heart Traveler was healing, Guyue Fangjing told Red Heart Traveler everything he had seen and heard. Red Heart Traveler nodded with a heavy expression. This time, Celestial Court suffered extremely heavy damage. It is full of loopholes. Even the Fate War did not cause it to suffer such damage. Guyue Fangjing asked the question he wanted to ask the most. Master, was this explosion man-made or was it a mistake? Red Heart Traveler shook his head. How would I know? The resurrection method left behind by Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable has existed for over 3 million years. Maybe there is nothing wrong with it, but Celestial Court has gone through many battles and is already damaged. At the same time, the entire Gu Immortal world has been unified into 5 regions. The universe has changed greatly. If it was plotted against, Giant Sun Immortal and Heaven Refining Demon Venerable are the biggest suspects. Among them, Heaven Refining Demon Venerable is the most suspicious. Saying so, Red Heart Traveler looked at Guyue Fangjing. Fangjing gritted his teeth and did not speak. Heaven Refining Demon Venerable was his elder brother. Regardless of whether it was plotted against or not, there will definitely be a fierce battle. Fangjing, you need to be prepared. Red Heart Traveler did not linger on this topic, instead instructing earnestly. Fang Jing slowly nodded with a grim expression. Now that such a huge flaw had appeared in Celestial Court, Heaven Refining Demon Venerable and Giant Sun Immortal would most likely make a move. They would not let go of such a good opportunity. It could be said that Celestial Court had already reached an extremely dangerous juncture. Red Heart Travelers, be prepared. Fang Jing was very clear that it was to be prepared to sacrifice oneself in battle. Fang Jing was already aware of this. Not just him, all the Celestial Court's Gu Immortals had such an awareness. Demon Judgment Board suddenly shook. Red light flickered intensely inside as it gave a warning. Red Heart Traveler and Fang Jing's expressions changed. Demon Judgment Board was extremely proficient in investigation. It was the first to find the latest information. Only to see a series of totems fluttering in the air, provoking a pitch-black mountain-like monster that rapidly approached Celestial Court. It appeared. Fang Jing shouted, "It is Spectral Soul Demon Venerable." Soon, other Gu Immortals also discovered this information. Qin Dingling and the rest gathered. Damn it, it was Fang Yuan who made a move. This despicable, shameless, sinister and cunning guy. Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's mind was already muddled. Totem killer moves had already become one of Fang Yuan's trademarks. The situation was clear at a glance. The Celestial Court's Immortals were extremely furious. Qin Dingling contacted Duke Mei, but because of the surging white qi, communication was rather difficult. The center of the explosion was filled with qi path Dao marks. Duke Mei and the rest moved forward with difficulty, but they had not found any traces of star constellation Immortal Venerable yet. Qin Dingling's expression was cold as ice, but her calm tone contained blazing heat. Even though Spectral Heaven is huge, we have Celestial Court behind us, we have nowhere to retreat to. Everyone, we need to use all our strength to destroy the totems and lure Spectral Soul Demon Venerable away. Before she finished speaking, she charged forward without any regard for her own safety. There were no shouts. Wan Zihong, Che Wei and Demon Judgment Board followed closely behind. Bam bam bam. Once the battle started, it entered a white-hot state. The Celestial Court's Gu Immortals were truly fighting with their lives on the line. They were already injured to begin with. Their injuries quickly worsened, blood splattered in the sky. The totems were destroyed by them. The result was shocking. However, Spectral Soul Demon Venerable smelled the scent of Celestial Court. He shouted loudly as he charged into Celestial Court. Qin Dingling and the rest resisted with all their might, but they were like mantises trying to stop a chariot. They could not obstruct Spectral Soul Demon Venerable at all. At once, the Celestial Court's Immortals were filled with despair. Chapter 2367. Take another step forward, even if it is just a small step. Duke Mei shouted in his mind. His whole body was covered in surging white qi. The qi path Dao marks were extremely dense. Even the great Celestial Court expert Duke Mei could not move forward. He had to use all his strength to take a small step forward. The immortal essence expenditure was intense. Duke Mei not only had to resist the white qi's vast impact, he also had to resist the corrosion of the qi path Dao marks. Senior Duke Mei, let me do it. The Celestial Court Gu Immortals behind him called out. Duke Mei gritted his teeth. After taking a small step forward, he stopped and stood firmly on the spot. The Celestial Court Gu Immortals behind him started to activate killer moves with all their strength. They went around Duke Mei and became the vanguard to open up a path. When this group of Gu Immortals finally arrived at the original location of the Qi Harvest Fruit, they found Star Constellation Immortal Venerable. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's clothes were disheveled. Her hair was messy, blood was flowing from the corners of her mouth and eyes. She seemed to be in a daze. Duke Mei and the rest were uncertain. They had never seen such an expression on Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's face. Lady Star Constellation Immortal Venerable. Duke Mei shouted, using immortal methods to transmit his voice to Star Constellation Immortal Venerable. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's body shook slightly. She seemed to have reacted. At the next moment, starlight shone brightly, easily suppressing the surrounding white qi. Duke Mei and the rest immediately felt relaxed. It was as if many invisible mountains had been lifted from their bodies. Starlight continued to sweep away the white qi. In a few breaths of time, the rampaging white qi in Celestial Court was suppressed by the starlight. This is the might of a venerable. Duke Mei and the rest saw this and felt their hearts shake. When the explosion occurred, I remember that a star veil appeared in front of us. It protected us for a while. It should have been Star Constellation Immortal Venerable who blocked most of the explosion's power. Several Gu Immortals recalled. Next, their eyes widened as they looked at the human-shaped Chi Harvest Fruit core again. Even though the Chi Harvest Fruit was destroyed, the Chi Harvest Fruit core was still there. It was just that the human shape of the Chi Harvest Fruit core was no longer as lifelike as before. It was very blurry and unstable. It was constantly leaking Chi Path Dao marks. The vast white gas that filled the celestial court was caused by the Chi Path Dao marks leaking out of the Qigong fruit core. Right now, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable was using her venerable ability to force these Chi Path Dao marks back into the Chi Harvest Fruit. Affected by this, the Qigong fruit core stabilized once again, and its appearance gradually became clear. We still have a chance. Yes, Lord Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable still has a chance to revive. After realizing this, Duke Mei and the others were excited. In the blink of an eye, the starlight converged into a soft gauze of stardust, which wrapped around the human-shaped energy art fruit pit like a bandage. In the span of a few breaths, he was wrapped up in over 100 layers, wrapping him up beyond recognition. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable let out a breath of air as she stopped her killer move. Tick-tock, tick-tock. At this moment, bright red blood droplets began to drip from her nose. Blood continued to drip down as Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's expression turned pale. The moment the Chi Harvest Fruit exploded, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable activated several killer moves. The advantage of Wisdom Path was that thoughts could be plentiful and swift. They could use more complex killer moves. Just this alone made Star Constellation Immortal Venerable the #1 person in Wisdom Path. Her status was unshakable. On one hand, she tried to protect herself and the other Gu Immortals, while on the other hand she suppressed the Chi Harvest Fruit core. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable blocked most of the power of the Chi explosion. Otherwise, the Celestial Court Gu Immortals would have been wiped out already. And most importantly, she still had a trace of hope. Without her help, the Chi Harvest Fruit core would have exploded. Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable's revival would have failed completely. Immortal Killer Move, Golden Blade Shaving Luck. Qin Ding Ling chased after Spectral Soul Demon Venerable as she threw out a golden blade. The golden blade was initially the size of a finger, but as it flew into the air, it grew to the size of a horse carriage. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. The golden blade slashed continuously reducing Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's luck. Spectral Soul Demon Venerable ignored the attacks. He was focused on getting into Celestial Court. The horse carriage-sized golden blade danced above his head, but compared to Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's pitch-black body that was like a mountain, it was simply not worth mentioning. Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's vast luck was greatly reduced by golden blade shaving luck. But compared to the overall amount, it was just a drop in the ocean. Qin Ding Ling felt a sense of helplessness. This feeling was equally intense in the hearts of Che Wei, Red Heart Traveler, and Guyu Fangzheng. Even though Demon Judgment Board continued to shoot out blood pillars, it only broke a few of Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's arms. In a few breaths of time, Spectral Soul's arms recovered to normal. The gap between rank 8 and rank 9 was so huge Qin Ding Ling and the rest could not shake Spectral Soul Demon Venerable no matter how hard they tried. After a round of slaughter, Spectral Soul Demon Venerable had mostly recovered. Normally, if Qin Ding Ling and the rest challenged Spectral Soul Demon Venerable, they would definitely be attacked by Spectral Soul Demon Venerable. But now, Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's main target was Celestial Court. Spectral Soul Demon Venerable filled Providence. He had once devoured Black Heaven's spirit and caused the two heavens to fuse together. He became the true Lord of Spectral Heaven. Before this, he destroyed the Heavenly Chasm, Heavenly Pillars, White Heaven Grotto Heavens, like flickering light Grotto Heaven, and even destroyed the sun to unify the two heavens. Celestial Court was a Grotto Heaven and immemorial White Heaven. In history, Celestial Court had devoured a vast number of immemorial Nine Heavens fragments. It was the greatest remnant of the original immemorial Nine Heavens. Celestial Court's existence was the greatest provocation to Spectral Soul Demon Venerable. The latter would not tolerate the existence of Celestial Court. Rumble, with a loud explosion, Spectral Soul Demon Venerable was like a huge black mountain. He directly charged into Celestial Court through a hole that was created by the explosion. The entire Celestial Court was shaking intensely. The Central Continent Gu Immortals who were left in Celestial Court looked up. Seeing Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's demonic body that covered the sky, they all took in deep breaths. Spectral Soul Demon Venerable flew in the sky, casting a huge shadow. Tens of thousands of arms formed a terrifying forest of arms. Some were raised high, some were lowered, some were meandering, some were straight. They had the power to hold up the sky and grab the moon. They had the ability to grab the stars and dance in the wind. Qin Dingling and the rest were chasing after him. They were as tiny as mosquitoes. Even a rank 8 Immortal Gu house like Demon Judgment Board was like a newborn mouse in front of Spectral Soul Demon Venerable. One of Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's 3 heads suddenly roared. Immortal Killer Move Soul Howl. He activated a Soul Path Killer move, creating a huge commotion. Wherever the commotion passed, it was like a tornado. The floor tiles of Celestial Court were sent flying. Zhao Lianyun and the rest felt a great calamity. Many people quickly took out their Immortal Gu houses. At once, Immortal Gu houses appeared. Star Scattering Camp, Fine Willow Camp, Wind Sweeping Building, Cloud Crossing Building, Sun and Moon Observatory, Spirit Affinity House, Myriad Dragon Dock, Heaven's Envy Manor, Ancient Soul Sect, Heavenly Lake, Illusion Garden, Canary Pavilion, Yuyang Palace, Heavenly Lake, Crane Gate. Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects had their own Immortal Gu houses as foundation. The names of the 10 great ancient sects were basically the strongest Immortal Gu houses they had. Among them, Heavenly Lotus Sect was slightly special. They were created by Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable. They had a total of 5 Immortal Gu houses. They had the most number of Immortal Gu houses among Central Continent's 10 great ancient sections. When the Immortal Gu houses were not in use, they were basically hidden in the immortal apertures of the sect's first Supreme Elders. Even if they were not first Supreme Elders, they were experts with authority. These people had basically all survived. The Immortal Gu houses of all sizes and shapes were like small boats. They shook intensely in the raging waves caused by the Soul Howl. It was not strange for them to capsize at the next moment. Some of the Immortal Gu houses let out Gu Immortal roars. These Immortal Gu houses had weak defenses against Soul Path attacks. Bam bam bam. With a series of soft sounds, several Gu Immortal souls exploded from the howl. They died on the spot. These Central Continent Gu Immortals were not in peak condition, they were all injured. Some of the more heavily injured Gu Immortals survived the explosion, but they could not hold on any longer, they lost their lives. Qin Dingling and the rest were also swaying in the air, their lives hanging by a thread. They were all heavily injured. They had risked their lives earlier to quickly destroy Fang Yuan's totem killer move and persevere until now. It was already a miracle. The Immortals were in danger. Starlight burst out like a vast sea, directly suppressing Spectral Soul Demon Venerable. The Soul Howl stopped abruptly. Spectral Soul Demon Venerable felt like someone was strangling him. Spectral Soul, don't be arrogant here. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable had a cold expression as she flew towards Spectral Soul Demon Venerable. Black smoke floated around Spectral Soul Demon Venerable. He opened his mouth and spat out a vast soul river. There were countless vengeful souls in the soul river. They surged and charged towards Star Constellation Immortal Venerable. At the same time, countless pitch-black arms grabbed at Star Constellation Immortal Venerable. Many sinister ghostly claws moved like spears, piercing the air and causing ear-piercing screeches. The attack was so strong that even gods and ghosts were shocked. The starlight that suppressed Spectral Soul Demon Venerable only lasted for a few breaths of time before dispersing. But Star Constellation Immortal Venerable did not dodge. She snorted coldly as star fog rose and seeped into the black smoke. As the black smoke dissipated, the star fog also disintegrated the vast soul river. Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's ghostly claws reached into the star fog but missed. Even when he grabbed Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, the latter shattered. She was just a star phantom. Spectral Soul Demon Venerable was not resigned to this. He rampaged around in the star fog. His furious roars resounded in the whole of Celestial Court. Qin Dingling and the rest landed on the ground. They hid in their Immortal Gu houses and used this chance to heal their injuries. Zhao Lianyun and the other Central Continent Gu Immortals watched the battle with fear. The battle between two Venerables was extremely dangerous. As long as there was an aftershock, the Immortal Gu house would collapse and all the Gu Immortals inside would die. Fortunately, since the start of the battle, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable had been suppressing Spectral Soul Demon Venerable. She had been in control of the situation. This is the might of a Tao Lord. The Celestial Court is still here. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable is greatly amplified here. She can easily suppress Spectral Soul Demon Venerable. Of course, Spectral Soul Demon Venerable does not have consciousness. That is a crucial factor. Unless the rank 9 Fire Gu on him activates, he will not be able to get out of this predicament. Fang Yuan looked at the battlefield as he contacted Giant Sun Immortal. Giant Sun, what are you hesitating for? Primordial Origins revival failed, but there is still a trace of hope. Now is the best time for us to cooperate with Spectral Soul Demon Venerable to destroy the Celestial Court. Giant Sun Immortal hesitated. Let's wait and see. Fang Yuan snorted coldly. If you are still hesitating, that means you have already cooperated with Star Constellation Immortal Venerable. If that is the case, I will not be able to stop Primordial Origin's revival. Then I will charge into Northern Plains and slaughter all of the Huangjin tribes first. You dare? Why wouldn't I dare? You have longevity heaven, Star Constellation has the Celestial Court. You want to force me into a corner, how can I just wait for death? I will not let you off easily. Fang Yuan gritted his teeth, showing a frenzied expression. Giant Sun Immortal snorted coldly. Forget it, I will cooperate with you, we must destroy the Qi Harvest Fruit Core. Fang Yuan let out a breath of air, praising, that is a wise move. Please act quickly, I will wait for you to join the battle. Giant Sun Immortal gritted his teeth, coming from Northern Plains. Fang Yuan was calm and unhurried, he slowly rose from Central Continent to remote heaven. Oh no, Giant Sun Immortal and Heaven Refining Demon Venerable are approaching our celestial court. Heaven Overseeing Towers Gu Immortal transmitted this information with a trembling voice. At once, Qin Dingling Guyue Fangjing, Che Wei, Zhao Lianyun and Kenyang Laojuan's expressions changed. Even though they had expected this when it really happened, they could not help but panic and fear. Chapter 2368. Intense winds blew, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's long hair fluttered behind her head. She frowned slightly, her deep eyes reflected the scene of Celestial Court. In her memories, Celestial Court had never been in such a sorry state. The star fog became denser, Spectral Soul Demon Venerable, who was trapped inside, roared in anger and madness, but he could not escape the star fog. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable was bullying Spectral Soul Demon Venerable for not having any intelligence. If he had any, he would not do this. She was inside Celestial Court now, she was nurtured by a vast number of Wisdom Path Dao marks, she was superior to Spectral Soul Demon Venerable. If Spectral Soul Demon Venerable fought to the death, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable could use her terrain advantage to kill him. But Star Constellation Immortal Venerable did not feel joy. Because the moment the Qi explosion occurred, she knew that Celestial Court's greatest danger was not the delirious Spectral Soul Demon Venerable, but Giant Sun Immortal and Heaven Refining Demon Venerable. Among these two, Heaven Refining Demon Venerable posed the greatest threat. The Qi Harvest Fruit exploded. Even though Star Constellation Immortal Venerable did not have any evidence, she was clear that Fang Yuan was the most suspicious. Fang Yuan would not miss this opportunity. And Giant Sun Immortal would not either. If Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable revived, the balance of the three Venerables would be overturned. Giant Sun Immortal would not be happy to see this happen. He retreated earlier because there was no hope. But now was different. After the explosion, Celestial Court was full of loopholes, it was almost defenseless. The only thing that Giant Sun Immortal was worried about was Star Constellation Immortal Venerable herself. But to protect the Qi Harvest Fruit Core, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable had endured most of the force of the Qi explosion, she was already injured. Spectral Soul Demon Venerable could not force her back in a short period of time, this gave Giant Sun Immortal and Heaven Refining Demon Venerable a good chance to probe her. As expected, when Star Constellation Immortal Venerable used Star Fog to trap Spectral Soul Demon Venerable, Giant Sun Immortal and Heaven Refining Demon Venerable had already arrived. Not long ago, in the Battle of Spectral Heaven's Dream Realm, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable had worked together with Giant Sun Immortal, but now she was alone, facing the attacks of three Venerables. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable quietly floated above Celestial Court, watching as Fang Yuan and Giant Sun flew over. Her gaze swept across Giant Sun's face, then she stared at Fang Yuan. Heaven Refining Demon Venerable, you are indeed worthy of being a venerable through refinement Dao, your trick finally caused the Qi Harvest Fruit to explode. But there's one thing I don't understand. How did you know so much about Master's rebirth arrangements in the Celestial Court? Fang Yuan was stunned at first, but he soon smiled and said, you overestimate me, fellow Immortal Star Constellation. You must know that the current world is no longer the primordial era. The 5 regions have merged into one, and the 2 heavens have merged to form the nether sky. It would be strange if Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable left behind a rebirth method 3 million years ago, right? No matter what you think, I will not give you the chance to stall for time, take this. Fang Yuan knew that he was the culprit, he still wanted to coax Giant Sun Immortal to cooperate with him, he would not give Star Constellation Immortal Venerable a chance to defend herself. The moment he stepped into the Celestial Court, Fang Yuan unleashed a powerful attack. Immortal Killer Move, Year Shocking Dream Wave Soul Sound. He placed Meng Qiu Zhen in the Sovereign Immortal Aperture and obtained Dream Armor Immortal Gu again. He could use this move again. At the next moment, waves of pink fog shot out of Fang Yuan's mouth and ears. They gathered above Fang Yuan's head, turning into the exquisite appearance of Danghun Mountain. Mini Danghun Mountain shook intensely. Ding, ding, ding. It was like the sound of crystals colliding. It was extremely clear. Mini Danghun Mountain erupted with waves of pink sound waves, spreading rapidly. The star fog that trapped Spectral Soul Demon Venerable was the first to suffer the attack of the pink sound waves. However, after the star fog tremor weakened by 30%, it stabilized. It continued to roll intensely as if it had adapted to it. It forcefully resisted the attack of the pink sound waves. Giant Sun Immortal saw this and immediately came to help. Immortal Killer Move, Soft Gold Collision Pillar. Golden light flowed and turned into dozens of collision pillars that crashed into the star fog. Soft Gold Collision Pillar erupted with an intense collision force, causing the star fog's luck to shake intensely. Everything in the world had luck, even a blade of grass or a rock had it. This was the profundity of heaven and earth luck. When the star fog's luck was attacked, it would affect the star fog itself, creating a penetrative attack that would disrupt the operation of the star fog. Giant Sun Immortal had once used this move to attack Fang Yuan. Back then he had not created it completely. It caused a lot of trouble for Fang Yuan. Now that he used it, it was clearly a success. However, under Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's control, even though the star fog shook intensely, it still managed to endure the continuous collisions. This made Fang Yuan and Giant Sun's hearts sink. If it were anywhere else, these two moves would have succeeded already. But in Celestial Court, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable was strengthened by a vast number of Wisdom Path Dao marks. Her strength rose to a terrifying level. Star Fog was not her most powerful killer move, but with this move she was able to resist Fang Yuan's compound killer move, as well as Giant Sun Immortal's new method. With me here, Celestial Court is invincible. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable said plainly. Her tone was filled with confidence and determination. Lady Star Constellation Immortal Venerable suppressed Giant Sun and Fang Yuan, two demon venerables, alone. That's right, all of the Wisdom Path Dao marks in Celestial Court have been refined by Lady Star Constellation Immortal Venerable. Humph, no matter how pathetic my Celestial Court is, it is not a place that demonic path people can touch easily. After Lady Star Constellation Immortal Venerable passed away, she left behind 3 strategies to help Celestial Court resist the attacks of 3 demon venerables. Now that she has revived and is personally holding the fort, she will definitely be able to defend Celestial Court. The 3 demon venerables will not succeed easily. The Gu Immortals of Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects were excited. The members of Celestial Court also showed joy. Earlier, almost everyone in the world knew about the battle in Spectral Heaven's Dream Realm. The Immortals saw that Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's strength rose sharply. They were overjoyed, their hopes rose. But at the next moment, the Immortals heard Fang Yuan snort coldly. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, Celestial Court is your strongest area, but it is also your weakness. Take this. Immortal Killer Move, Permetha Dragon Snake Dust Fog Soul Explosion Wind. The fog spread, dragons and snakes roared. At the same time, Mini Danghun Mountain above Fang Yuan's head emitted pink sound waves again. Fang Yuan used 2 moves at once, but he did not target Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, he targeted the Qi Harvest Fruit Core instead. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's expression changed, she quickly blocked it. Fang Yuan's 2 attacks were dispelled by Star Constellation Immortal Venerable in midair, but he laughed heartily, he took the initiative. Giant Sun Immortal moved like lightning. He moved to the side and attacked the Qi Harvest Fruit Core from another direction. After the probing earlier, he understood how strong Star Constellation Immortal Venerable was. He and Fang Yuan might not be her match even if they worked together. But it was not important. Giant Sun Immortal was most wary of Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable Rebirth. As long as he destroyed the Qi Harvest Fruit Core and retreated, he would achieve his goal, he would be the winner of this battle. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable fell into a passive state indeed. She had to focus all her attention on protecting the Qi Harvest Fruit Core. Even though she had great battle strength in the Celestial Court, she could only focus on defense. Central Continent's Gu Immortals saw this and gritted their teeth, cursing continuously. Truly despicable and sinister. To think that the great giant sun would be so despicable. Sigh, I really want to help Lady Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, but I am too weak. The aftermath of the battle between the Venerables continued to spread. The immortal Gu houses continued to retreat and retreat. Guyue Fangjing was inside Demon Judgment Board, frowning deeply. His gaze was mostly on Fang Yuan. Zhao Linyun was the same. Ma Hongyun, whom she had been thinking about, had died under Fang Yuan's armpit. And Fang Yuan had Ma Hongyun's soul. Even though Fate Gu was destroyed, Zhao Linyun could not revive her lover alone. She had to take back Love Gu from Fang Yuan. Maybe by using Love Gu's power, I can steal Ma Lang's soul from Fang Yuan's immortal aperture. After all, Love Gu is a rank 9 immortal Gu, it has amazing and comprehensive power, it is almost omnipotent. Zhao Lianyun thought of this and became even more moved. The time is not ripe yet. I need to wait patiently. When Fang Yuan is at his weakest, when he has no time to care about anything else, I will make my move. Qin Dingling became even more restless. She had the killer move Luck Gamble, it was created to counter Giant Sun Immortal. She could not do anything to Spectral Soul Demon Venerable, but it was possible to deal with Giant Sun Immortal. She was also waiting for an opportunity. Fang Yuan, if you have any good methods, quickly use them. After attacking for a long time without success, Giant Sun Immortal became anxious, he urged. Fang Yuan's gaze quickly looked down at the celestial court. He saw many immortal Gu houses as well as a large area of ruins. He laughed ruthlessly. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, I am going to kill all of the celestial court Gu immortals here. If you have the ability, come and stop me.